The best late model stock drivers in the country kick off 2018 racing for $10,000 at Tri-County Motor Speedway when the Cars Tour visits for the Do the Do 150. Bring a Mountain Dew product to save $3 off admission, or Do the Do 4-pack with 4 tickets, 4 dogs, and 4 dews for only $60. Gates open at 1, racing begins at 3 on Saturday, March 10th. Advance tickets are on sale now. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit carsracingtour.com.
Tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway, we're here on LSRTV for our final week of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. I'm Chris Murdoch. We've got Gary Weaver and Evan Pasoko will be joining us later on. Gary, we have an action-packed night. 2 major features here tonight, one 125-lap Tour Modified feature and a 200-lap late model stock feature up on the night here tonight. Tour Mod's going to be starting it off. Should be a fun night to say the least.
Yeah, Chris, it's going to be very, very exciting to watch as well. So, like you mentioned, 125 laps and 200 laps for the late models as well. It's going to be a long night as well, nonetheless. But of course, it's definitely going to be an exciting event to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting. Trying to end the season on a high note, the Myrtle Beach 400, just like they do in the real life. Kyle Barnes doing a great job of putting on this show as he does all the time. So cars have been qualifying all day, getting ready for it, practices throughout the day. So far, seen a lot of good drivers, a lot of notable names that you've seen throughout your entire Myrtle Beach season. Christian Peterson, Matt Cucker, Brandon Wilkinson, you know, all of those big names out there, and you know, some few drivers mixing it up a little bit. And Randy Yoakum getting up there in the mix a little bit. Tyler Jordan getting up there in the qualifying mix a little bit as we get ready to get these cars on track. Looking to see a whole lot of interesting racing here tonight.
It's going to be really interesting, especially with all these guys who have past experience at this track. Well, pretty much everybody in this series has experience at this track, but of course I believe they have never run the modifieds, but that would be just me. I haven't really seen them run it, but it would definitely be really exciting because these things are pretty much built like pretty much like a tank, for less of words. These cars can take damage to a certain extent as well, so it's going to be interesting. We may be seeing beating and banging as well tonight, and it's going to be really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is going to be fun to watch, and you know, 25 drivers it looks like going to be on for this show here tonight, and it's always good, especially like you mentioned, these cars can take a beating, and it's going to be interesting to see how much that beating is, because you always want the bragging rights to take these final 2 races and take that win off into the sunset as we get ready to try to get everything settled out for this final season. Although we're not done with, you know, the championship esports. We got the media day next week for the Cars Tour to get that up and running, so everything should be good for that. But cars should be lining up on the grid here in a few minutes to get everything all settled out.
Yeah, it's going to take about, at the moment, 5 minutes and 27 seconds, and counting down, of course. Everyone just, race control, just making sure that everything is going to be A-OK and everything is going to be set as well. So, I'm seeing some, like you mentioned, I believe you did mention, I'm seeing Brad Carpenter in 17th, and it looks like we will actually be gridding early on. So it's going to be a really exciting race to watch. 23 drivers have qualified, so it's going to be interesting to see how all these 25 drivers take to the track tonight.
It will, Gary, and with that, the checkered flag has waved in that qualifying session, which means we're going to be seeing cars line up on the grid, which means we'll go through your full field rundown. Brandon Wilkinson going to be topping the board in these Toro Modifieds with an 18.507, just to his outside that 89 of Jeremy Adams. Third place goes to Matt Cucker. Will Dravicki is going to be fourth. Christian Peterson will round out your top five.
Starting in that 6th place position will be Nick Zonter. John Lyday will be starting in 7th position. Starting 8th is going to be Dustin Turnage. Starting 9th is going to be Randy Oakham, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Tyler Jordan in that number 25.
Paul Henley in the 16 machine, he's going to be 11th. 12th goes to Matthew Murphy. James Milbacher is going to be 13th. 14th, Eric Ford. Todd Guerin going to be rounding out your top 15.
Starting 16th is going to be Mason Dunn. Brad Carpenter starting in that 17th place position. Robbie Bunden will be starting in that 18th place position as well on the outside. John Miganaka, I believe, sorry to pronounce it, is going to be starting in the 19th position. And Kyle will be starting in 20th. Apologies, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
21st is gonna be Rory Blum. Cody Brinson gonna be 22nd. Scott Austin gonna be 23rd. 24th goes to Christian Murphy, and Robert Torbeson is gonna round out your 25 car field. So Brandon Wilkinson gonna get the lucky number 1 starting spot to lead everybody down into the starting position. Or into the start of the green flag and get this night kicked off, as cars should be rolling off the grid here very shortly to get this 125 lap feature. 125 laps seems like a lot of laps on paper here, Gary, but it's really going to go by quickly, especially with how fast these Toro mods can get up and going and how fast and how clean these guys have been throughout the entire season. It's going to be a really, really good showing here as the pace car pulls off.
Yeah, the session is scheduled to go for at least 50 minutes. That's what's projected to be. So 125 laps at a point, pretty much a half-mile track. It's going to be going by really quick. So, like you said, it's going to be a lot on paper. But when it comes down to the actual race, you're going to be seeing the laps ticking by every... You're just going to be seeing it tick by unexpectedly. First thing you'll realize is that's lap 1. And then you'll be wondering, wait, wasn't it lap 1 when we're at lap 120?
You're exactly right. That's just how fast these races can go by and probably will go by. We're going to take the 1 to go signal from race control to get this race started and up and going. Like I mentioned, Brandon Wilkinson going to be leading them down to the green flag here tonight. Jeremy Adams going to be leading, Jeremy Adams going to be outside of him. Drivers I'm going to be looking for, haven't really seen them in the Tour mods, or haven't seen them in the Tour mods. Christian Peterson, Matt Cucker, always good at the short tracks, but as the pace car pulls off, we look to Brandon Wilkinson to get the green flag. When will he go? And he punches it. Green flag in the air. 125 laps at Myrtle Beach. Brandon Wilkinson leads them off into turn 1. Brandon Wilkinson got a good start to the race here as everybody's going double file behind him. Matt Cucker going to move his way up past Jeremy Adams, as I believe Evan Pasoko has now joined us in the broadcast booth. I said he was going to be joining us a little bit later. Evan, welcome. Haven't missed much. Lap 2, Brandon Wilkinson out in the lead. Matt Cucker, Jeremy Adams, and Will Dravicki up there all fighting for some positions as we get this night started.
Yeah, it was a good jump for the 26 right out of the gate, and I have to say I'm not surprised that 69 of Matt Cucker's right there in the number 2 position as well. We've only seen these Tour Modifieds once this season. Of course, it was a non-points event when that happened, and Matt Cucker was the driver who parked the Tour Modified in victory lane for the one and only win in these cars of this season. So expect him to be in the conversation all night long, but Brandon Wilkinson has really gotten a lot better, and not that he entered the season a little bit behind behind, but in comparison to the likes of the Petersons and the Cuckers was a little bit off compared to those two, but has really picked it up a notch in these last couple of weeks, taking a lot of checkered flags, and has a good opportunity to try to lead this one. But I think the biggest thing, obviously, Gary, and as you guys have discussed already in these two races tonight, is the distance. It's not going to feel like a long way. These laps go by very quickly. Sub 20 seconds should be going underneath that all the way through the night, but it is a substantially larger amount of laps than what we're used to, so you can't maybe be as aggressive as we've seen drivers right out of the gate.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play out your strategy a little bit longer than what these races usually run for, because we've seen them for about 50 or 60 laps, sometimes 80, I believe, as well. But nonetheless, everyone's just gonna have to be patient and calm it down just a little bit sooner than they should expect, and make that move for that position a little bit later as well.
It's going to be something that everybody keeps an eye on and tries to track over the course of this race. Already, the two drivers out of this, Robert Torgensen and Robbie Bunden, 25th, 24th position, appear to have not made the cutter, at least not been able to continue. They did take the green flag, but they are going to park it early. 23 cars still active, all 23 of them still on the racetrack. You take a look at the front of the field as we head back off down into turn number 1. A little bit of a challenge maybe that time for second. Saw Adams peeking a nose onto the inside of Cucker. Nothing that comes from that. Again, all of these drivers, I think, very aware of the fact it's a long way to go. Then stop these guys middle of the pack from fighting side by side. That's Paul Henley in front of it all. The 18 of Todd Guerin, the driver, trying to move forward on the inside of the 25 of Zonter, and I think he will get that spot. Behind them, though, still tight, with James Milbachler trying to get up the inside of the 25 as well.
Yeah, really trying to work his way to the inside. James Milbachler in that 21 machine, working the inside of 3 and 4, just trying to get everything he can. You can see him giving a little bump and almost gets him out got him way sideways, actually, through 1 and 2. Almost a huge wreck. Great save by that 25 of Zonter to keep it green and keep the car under him, because we know how hard these things can be.
Oh, spinner. That's Todd Guerin? No, it was not the 18, but it was somebody right there. Carpenter, I think, in turn number 4, went around. That was right at the battle that we were watching, and it looped around right on the inside of quarter number 4. Yellow flag is out. It was indeed that number 21 machine. No, it was the 21 car on the inside of Milbachler. In that side-by-side fight, you see on the replay, and right there, there's the contact sideways and goes around. So problems early on in this one for that 31 machine of Brad Carpenter. It's pretty difficult to see the numbers on the sides of the cars with those push bars they got on them. It was Carpenter, though. We got it the first time, and that side-by-side went wrong. That 25 machine was really struggling, and I have to wonder maybe if Gary Zontner was a little bit desperate and pinching a bit, but it looked like Carpenter just got a little bit tight pushed up into him.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That can happen quite a bit here, Evan, getting really close, especially with these push bars. You don't really know how wide these things are until you're right up next to them. And, you know, you mentioned Zontner. He did a really good job at keeping that car under him, but unfortunately for Carpenter, just got a little bit tight, pushed up into him. But that always seems to happen here a little bit early on, Evan, as drivers just try to get a lot going into these corners and push up the track.
Obviously, the drivers involved in that escapade come down to the pit lane. No worries for your race leader, Brandon Wilkinson. He'll have to deal with a restart, but not a whole lot has changed up front. Obviously, Matt Cucker did get that spot right off for the green flag. He'll now end up outside of the front row, and Jeremy Adams in the 89 has a pretty good opportunity to try to come back and take it away from him, but you will see drivers obviously have to go into their selected lanes. One thing that we're used to seeing on Wednesday nights is the cone car, not a factor in this tour modified 125 lap main event. So inside and outside throughout the field. But let's see what Wilkinson can do in this restart, because on the drop of the first green flag, he has to wait until the green flag comes out. He's got a lot more leniency on a restart as a control car on the inside of the racetrack. Look for the white lines on the track at turn number 4. That's the restart box, and out with the 2-6 can go. Green flag is back in the air.
Green flag in the air as they work through turns 1 and 2. Wilkinson still leading. You see Peterson get way high up the track there. Evan not losing too many spots. Meanwhile, behind him, Dravicki and Dustin Turnage going to be going at it. Turnage going to go by Dravicki on the outside line with ease, so move him up a position, or maybe I should say hold off that 30 of Will Dravicki. Now he's going to be looking to the inside of that 23 of Christian Peterson. No luck going to come out of turns 1 and 2 as they go off in 3 and 4.
Expecting drivers to try to get in line side by side a little bit deeper back in the pack. You see that? That's the 18 of Todd Guerin up on the outside of the racetrack, but all the way up in the front battle for the race lead. Matt Cucker going to go to the inside. They're side by side coming out of turn number 2. The 2-6 of Wilkinson going to try to be defensive up top. He'll have the better run off of the corner, but a big bobble there in the center. And Cucker's at a really good spot. Leads at the line. Look for him to try to clear in 1 and 2.
Looks like Matt will get the advantage coming out of turns 1 and 2. No, not yet. Brendan Wilkinson still hanging on to the outside lane there, so he's trying to fight back as best as he can. He's going to get the slight momentum boost here. Coming out turn number 4, he's going to be into the line. It looks like, nope, Matt Coker gets him that time around. So the one thing to watch here as well in turns 1 and 2, we saw that replay under caution with the 22. These curves are going to be something to not actually hit. You're going to have to watch out for those because once they hit those and it's under green, then in that case it's over. As Matt finally clears Brendan Wilkinson, but now to the inside goes Jeremy Adams.
Adams, next driver in line, into the Brady Donovan up the inside of the racetrack, trying to make it a fight, and the 2-6 again. Wilkinson is trying to play defense up top. You're on board with Christian Peterson, who might be the third driver to come up the inside of Wilkinson if he can't win this battle. That's the view off of the front of the 23 car in 4th at the moment. Still pretty much even, though hard to give an advantage either way. Again, it's not impossible for a car up at the outside to be strong. Get that great run at a turn number 2, but a mistake. He catches the wall, and that's not something you could give Jeremy Adams. You give him a foot, he'll take a mile, and now that 89 machine in front at the line and looking to try to get clear of the 2-6 of Wilkinson, who's had a rough couple of laps here, and he will now lose that number 2 spot. He'll try to keep the fight interesting, but I think Adams is going to get him.
Yeah, looking down into turns 3 and 4 here, Evan, it looks like Jeremy Adams has just got that bottom line hooked up more than Wilkinson does on the high side. But you can see Jeremy Adams kind of flirting with those rumble strips a little bit as he gets down towards the corner. I saw it the last time by, not as much as he did this time by, trying to maybe play it safe. I saw that his car was getting a little bit upset, but these cars are really low, Evan, and I know it doesn't really look like it on the screen, but if you get anywhere close to those things, your day is going to be done, just like Gary said. So everybody really watching out here and being mindful of those. Now in the late models, that could be a different story. You can maybe run over those with left sides, but you still got to be really careful. Meanwhile, back through, Wilkinson was able to find his way inside and get in the inside lane and try to single file out and not let Christian Peterson get towards that inside line. So maybe that 26 can maybe rebound on the inside and have a fight with Jeremy Adams.
All you can hope for is try to bounce back. You're still on board with Peterson there in 4th, and you know, for Wilkinson it was a pretty good job. You see that bright red 2-6 machine in front of him to be able to tuck back in line. I thought that exactly like we saw with Adams. As soon as Matt Cucker got around Brandon Wilkinson, Jeremy Adams put a nose to the inside. I thought that Peterson might have done the same, although the 23 machine very characteristically good, exceptional maybe even, at pacing over the course of a run, and really no reason to force that kind of a fight. Only now 20 laps in to a 125 lap contest. Top 4 cars, though, definitely the fastest on track. They're trying to pull away a little bit, but the driver's 5th out of back. The Wood Turnage is 5th. Todd Guerin trying to fight with him in the number 6 position, but at least for the time being, he's at the single file line, come across the front straightaway, single file inside of the top 10.
Well, he did say inside the top 10. Well, that's not the case here. It's a huge battle for about the 17th plus position. We got the number 92 of John Minaka on the inside. Well, not anymore, actually, as that battle seemed to have sorted itself out. But I've been watching the backpack a while for its past few laps, and you can see some battles going on, a little bit of side-by-side action. Everyone's trying to figure out where to go and what line works and what line doesn't work. So, but we do seem to have a split as well, though, between 11th and 12th. That's a slightly large gap, and could be a little bit worrying as well. But don't forget, like Evan mentioned, well, right now we're only on lap 31 of 125, so they still have time to sort everything out and make sure everything can actually work out for these drivers.
And that's the key, again, is do not let your race be determined by what happens early. You can definitely make things harder on yourself, but there is no reason to go into kind of a full sense of panic mode this early on in the going. Now the top two trying to stretch themselves out a little bit. Was talking about how it was the top four the first time. Now the top two are trying to run away, and Dustin Turnage in the number 6 spot here. Looking at right now in the one car has a little bit of a better chance at maybe fighting Todd Guerin for 5th. The gap between those two not quite as big, although he's got quite the challenge from behind. That's the 30 of Will Dravicki, just plastered all over the back end of him right now at a battle between 6th and 7th spot, and what is probably one of the closest fights on the lead lap at the moment. As I say that, the 60 to Paul Henley gets sideways a little bit deeper in the pack, and looks like Tyler Jordan will pass him. That one a battle for 9th and 10th. Very quickly done.
Very quickly done. As now I look up front towards the battle between Brandon Wilkinson and Christian Peterson. I think Peterson really working that inside line in 3 and 4 just a little bit better than Wilkinson can. He's trying to maybe flirt with that second groove, because we know how fast the groove likes to move around here from weeks past here, Evan, how quickly the line can change depending on how long you run. And I know we're going to see that a lot tonight. 125 laps in this feature, and then 200 laps with the late model. So you're definitely going to see that line change in driver's experiment. But for right now, the experiment is not going to work out for Brandon Wilkinson, as he's going to get put on the outside of Christian Peterson. Peterson going to clear him very quickly, though. Move Peterson up to 3rd.
Expect that slow creep to continue all night long for the 23 machine, as he's already been able to get up, as you just noted, into the top 3 for the first time tonight. That means that Wilkinson's fallen to 4th after starting on pole, but the one driver I think we should all be looking at, that second red car in line. That's the 1-8 of Todd Guerin, the 18 machine, and you would think he started inside of the top 10. We've been talking about him in a lot of these fights since the restart, but if you remember when we took a look at the LSRTV starting grid, he started way back in 15th position out of the 25 cars who started this race. So a little bit back, rather a little bit further back from halfway. Well, he's already got himself up to P5 and is now challenging in a fight for 4th spot. So he's definitely one of the drivers who's made quite a bit of progress. In fact, the biggest mover so far to this point, and he'll get another spot here. Wilkinson not going to really play much defense, leaves the inside open, side by side for 4th, and he 18 to Garrett on the inside, trying to complete the pass.
Heading into turn number 1 is Garrett. Way up top goes Wilkinson. He probably doesn't want to fight for that position as much as he wanted to by the looks of that, but looks like Todd Garrett didn't want to stay right up against the wall in the back straightaway, which is really interesting. Maybe his own way of keeping momentum, or he just doesn't want Wilkinson to get into a slipstream or his draft as well. But nonetheless, I'm actually seeing number 69 Matt Coker in turns 1 and 2. He actually entered just a little bit higher than Jeremy Adams did, as he does right here as well. So maybe Matt is either trying to save tires, or he's found something that that Jeremy doesn't know about.
He's 1 for 1 in these tour modifieds this year. In fact, Matt Cocker's won multiple times in the late model stocks. That we'll see a little bit later on tonight for the second part of the Myrtle Beach 400. Woodwego racing in the Napa Auto Parts late model stocks for 200 laps as the feature race of the evening. But it is definitely not a strange sight to see the 69 car search it a little bit. And you can already see on that shot right there that inside line getting rubbered in. Only 42 laps out of 125, and already a significant amount of rubber getting put down onto the racetrack. So obviously that puts rubber into the track, and it adds the heat into the racetrack as well. Forces drivers to search around just a little bit, and that line's going to get a little bit wider every single time around, to the point where you might be able to make a legitimate charge on the outside of the racetrack come the final 20 laps of this race, if you're in a position to do so.
Yeah, and right now we're not really seeing that, and I say we'll see it very later on, down towards the end of it. It's crazy to think, Evan, we just completed lap 44 on to 45. So just as we were saying at the top of the broadcast, how fast these laps can go by. Meanwhile, I'm paying attention to that 18 of Todd Guerin. You mentioned him earlier, started 15 all the way up to 4th. He's now working his way up slowly but surely to Christian Peterson. And that is all it really takes around this track, is just eat away at the gap so far. You've got a lot of time left to go before you really have to start pushing really hard, but working away at that gap on the 23 machine. Todd Guerin doing an amazing job here tonight.
Exactly what you expect, and there's a lot of drivers as well mid-pack try to do the same thing, but it's substantially more difficult to make progress in the setup of the pack. One driver just down pit road, the 21 of us, James Milbachler, came down pit road. He actually got up into the outside wall, didn't intentionally come down pit road, so he's now back out on track. This is really going to hurt him. He was running in 11th position when he caught the outside wall. You'll take a look at the replay right here up on the outside of the racetrack, down in 1 and 2, battling for position right there, and the car reacts, bounces, and he is very fortunate he did not take out those tires on the pit road entry. He was able to coast through, and he is actually still on the lead lap all the way at the back. Could have been a lot worse, though, as he was about half a foot away from ripping the entire right side out of that race car. Amazing
catch by that driver, as well as I'm looking. Goodness, these drivers, we got the 27, the 05, and the 24. And mainly the 27 and the 05, that's Cody Brinson and Scott Austin. Scott Austin has been all over the back bumper of the 27 in turns 3 and 4. You can probably see that damage on the back of the 27 as well, a little bit bent up as well. But like I said, these cars can take damage a lot and still keep going at their normal pace. And you can see that Scott Austin was almost right up against the back bumper of the 27. He's going to make some more contact as well. Onto the outside they both go. To the inside goes number 24 of Kyle as well. He's going to be in that number 24, taking advantage of this as well. Scott Austin's going to be shuffled back a couple positions.
The 2-4 machine, Kyle Leveralt, moves up into 12th position. That's +8 now on the night. So going back to the point I was talking about, people try to make up some spots mid-pack. It's very difficult because just the amount of distance per car is a lot different than what you're seeing up front. And a little bit more side by side as Leveralt continues to charge up on the inside of Brinson in a fight for 11th position. Very tight down the back straightaway, not giving each other much more room than they absolutely have to. And that 05 machine right there, and Scott Austin had enough of a run to force the 3-watt if he wanted to, thought better of it, and now he has to decide who he thinks is going to win, and tuck in line behind them, there goes the 24, Leveralt sideways, what a save, as he reels her back in. We stay green. He will lose that fight for 11th, but he's still got a race car underneath him.
Yeah, what an amazing save by that 2-4 of Leveralt. As you mentioned, he was working his way up through the field, able to keep it on him. As we get ready to look at the replay just to see what happened here, you're going to see them almost make slight contact. You can see Leveralt push up, but he immediately yanked the wheel back left, got a little bit loose out of the corner, ultimately got it a little bit sideways, really lost a lot of momentum, but at least he can still say he has the race car under him and he's able to keep on fighting.
That scare there is not going to help your case when we talk about trying to conserve tires and to make it to the end of this race. Obviously, once you heat them up like that, things aren't going to get any better, but still plenty of fighting going on. This is about a pack of 5 to 6 cars that are all within a second of each other right now. The car trying to get away from it all is Brinson out in front. You're on board with Nick Zotner right now, who's in the middle of the fray as he tucks to the inside and tries to go side by side with Leveralt. 2 sets of 2x2 and a big bobble with the 05 is Scott Austin, who broke sideways off of the corner, got loose, and still on now another car sideways. This time it's Zotner. He will hang on as well. The 8 car going to go 3 wide. That's Matthew Murphy, and somehow this race is still under green flag conditions after about the 4th near wreck in as many laps.
I'm surprised these guys can keep it together. As the replay is up on your screen right now, you're going to see these guys just have a big bobble as well. You can see at 25, he's going to save it, nearly gets into it in the 8. Goodness, heavy contact as well, but he's going to keep going as if that hasn't even happened yet. So these guys, as sideways as they are, they're still keeping the car under them as well. And in fact, on that initial spin out as well, or the near spin out, I should say, 92 of John McNaughton. Oh goodness, the 25 of Nick Zotner just got into the wall. Actually, he's going to head to pit road right now. He's going to park it, and I believe he's going to say that he's done for the day as he got into the wall of turn number 2. And well, back to the battle for 11th position. 27 and 05 get into each other, hang into turn 1. Now it's Scott Austin that got to the inside of Cody Brinson, made contact. Here comes Brinson down to the inside. He's going to give a little payback as well. Side contact. This is exciting, and this is only for the 11th position as well as they come to the start-finish line to complete lap number 60.
Well, I mentioned I couldn't see the number on the side of the 31 earlier on that one and only yellow because of that push bar, and they are using it now. Look how high Scott Austin was down in 1 and 2, pushing the 27 up the hill, and I think he kind of forced Cody Brinson into a mistake there as Brinson overdrives the quarter. He'll cross him up, though, to the inside, and just like that, they exchange positions once more, and Brinson to 11th, and he'll shut the door. The 05 tried to cross his crossover over, and that was not happening, and I don't know how long this is gonna last. It's fun to watch, and now caution flag is gonna come out, and it's not for these drivers. Spinner on the back straightaway, and it is race leader Jeremy Adams, the 89 car around at lap 63.
That's exactly what you don't want to have happen when you're leading the race, but it's exactly what Gary was mentioning earlier. Jeremy Adams had been flirting with those little curbs there in turns 1 and 2 for the entirety of the race, and you're going to see it on the replay here as he's going through turns 1 and 2, and you can just see the back end get lifted up there, right there, and there was no saving it at that point. You really got to stay off of those curbs, especially in these Tour Modifieds, Evan. They're just so low, heavy contact to the inside wall. Really unfortunate for that 89 machine.
Just about shish kebab that car on the tires there, as it should be okay to continue, but obviously the front end damage is going to force Adams down to pit road. Have to wonder with Matt Cucker in the 69, who you ride on board with right now. You see the contact with the curb there and the car that gets sideways. I wonder how much pressure Matt Cucker was applying, and if that at all forced maybe your at-time race leader Jeremy Adams to make a mistake. Unless Adams is going to be in quite the bind if he wants to win this race, even if he can get that car back to 100%, even if it has no damage at all. He's going to be at the very tail end of the lead lap once he gets out of the pit lane. If he gets out of the pit lane, it'll be difficult for him to make that up because we have passed the halfway point here tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. So Cucker going to assume the race lead in this one. That puts him into a fantastic position as we get set to go back green in 2 laps from now. Drivers going to get themselves doubled up. Todd Guerin now with a race high P2. See if that 18 machine can make some noise from the front row.
Yeah, but look right behind him, though. 23 of Christian Peterson is right behind him as well. Peterson's been just riding around probably at this rate, and I'm not surprised that he wouldn't be making a move as of yet because we're only on lap 66 and coming to the start-finish line, well, I believe would be 59 laps to go. So Peterson's going to be starting right behind the leader as well. That's going to be Matt Coker taking the lead. Of course, Brendan Wilkinson in 4th place, and Will Javicki in that 30th, that number 30 in that 5th position as well as we come to that 1 to green.
Green flag this time by. Cucker wants to choose the outside of the racetrack, so that'll put Todd Guerin down low. On how the outside is more and more of a viable option as this race goes on. What Cucker's really looking for there, though, is to get the jump and have the better dive, that arc down into the corner, hoping to get some distance. Todd Guerin, though, if he can time this right, has a good shot at maybe battling for the race lead in this one. Peterson, Wilkinson in row 2, Trafficki, Turnage, Jordan, Yoakum, Henley, and Austin all the way through the top 10 as we put 67 laps behind us and take 59 laps to go for the Myrtle Beach Speedway in the Tour Modified 125. Green flag in the air, and Todd Guerin can't keep up with that. Cucker, fantastic jump. Rockets to the race lead in 1 and 2. And now you got to watch up top. Look for that 2-6 Carl Wilkinson trying to slide into 2nd.
Spin in the back.
Spinning in the back. Hard spin in the back. That's going to be, looks like the 1.
The 4.
Or the 4, I should say, of Randy Yoakum. Going to be spinning in the back. Going to not bring under caution. We're going to stay green as Todd Guerin and Brandon Wilkinson still side by side here. Evan, that 2-6 trying to make his way on the outside, but the 18 holding his own on the inside, but looks like Wilkinson's going to clear him for that position. Now he's going to worry about the 23, who is oh so deadly here on that outside line. That's going to be Christian Peterson.
That 4 was tagged by the 2-9 machine of Tyler Jordan. Went around, no other contact, so we are going to be able to stay green. And we continue to watch the ongoing fight for 3rd. Peterson really digging that time of the 2. You saw him sling that car off of the corner, and he will clear Todd Guerin. So as we were coming to that restart, I mentioned the possibilities of what a good restart could do for that 18 machine of Todd Guerin. Well, a bad restart can cost him spots. He falls to 4th now.
Now for that 5th place position, it's going to be Dustin Turnage on the inside in that number 1 car. On the outside is going to be at number 30 of Wilczewicki. He's going to try and keep that position as best that he can as well. And looks like Turnage actually got into those curves as well, the rumble strip. So that's going to set him back just a little bit, although he did manage to keep that car under control, thankfully. And you can see Scott Austin's right up there in 7th as well. But nonetheless, Peterson, well, he's probably going to be slowly making his way back up to the lead. It looks like to the inside is going to be Brendan Wilkinson. He looked to the inside in turns 1 and 2, but doesn't have the momentum as of yet.
Wait another lap and try to give it another shot. Obviously, can't get it all done at once, but keep applying the pressure. Again, that may have been the key for Matt Cucker to get to the race lead. Wilkinson, though, a fan of getting it done sooner rather than later. He looks to the inside. It's not going to stick. Tuck back in line, and I'm sure that is not the last we have seen of the 26 car of Brandon Wilkinson. Very good run that time before, and now establishing some position, a little bit more than just the push bar on the inside. In fact, now they are side by side for the race lead from Myrtle Beach. Cucker has the advantage off, and you see it right there, but he is oh so close on the wall when he does that.
Yeah, speaking of both so close to the wall, look at how close Brandon Wilkinson was to that inside wall. They're even trying to get all he can out of that inside line in 3 and 4. Now we got to watch to see how close he gets to these rumble strips. We just saw it really affect our leader. That was Jeremy Adams. Now he's going to get all bent out of shape coming out of the corner, going to allow Matt Cucker to get some breathing room, and now he's going to be attacked by the 23 of Christian Peterson, the 18 of Todd Guerin. Todd Guerin has really done really well at holding his own. We saw him not get the greatest start, going to be able to rebound, get on the outside of Brandon Wilkinson, not quite just yet, as now Christian Peterson closes in the 2nd place position. Now move up Team Vincier to 1 and 2.
And say we're surprised to see that. 77 laps now complete. We crossed the halfway point there on the restart, but now that things are spread out just for a moment, let's take this opportunity to take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. And caution at that note comes out, so we'll get to take a look at them under the yellow flag conditions. A couple of cars up against the fence in turn 3, in fact 3 of them.
Looks like you can see the number 72 is going to be one of those involved, and goodness, heavy contact. We're going to find out what happened. Actually, it started between the 8 and the 92, actually, coming out after number 2, so you're going to be seeing the aftermath of that as well, but nonetheless, replay up on your screen. So these guys are going to be coming into this at just the wrong moment, so goodness, you can just see how much heavy contact there is. That's number 72 of Roy Blum, the 5 of Eric Forbes, the 8 of Matthew Murphy as well. So just really unfortunate for these guys. And in fact, prior to this wreck as well, as Tyler Jordan spun it out turn number 2 and got into the inside wall, damaged his engine, but luckily he did manage to get to pit road in time as well. But that wasn't the caution, as this was the case. As you can see, 92 gets into the wall. Goodness gracious, that near miss by that Neon, well, obviously a very lucky Neon driver as well, driver in the Neon car to be easily seen. I believe that was the number 22 of John Lyday, and yes, it was. So caution once again as we're slowly approaching that 125 lap mark.
Now that nobody is gaining or losing spots under yellow, let's take a look at the running order. And as I say that, the one car, Dustin Turnage, your race leader, is going to drop out of this one. So obviously scoring going to correct themselves. Matt Cucker is your race leader at lap number 81. Christian Peterson runs in the number 2 spot. Brandon Wilkinson is 3rd. Todd Guerin is 4th. And Wilczewicki is in 5th. Again, all of these names are going to bump up 1 spot there once we come around and Turnage is correctly erased from that current running order. To continue on through, though, number 6 spot will become Scott Austin. 7th is going to be Kyle Everall. To 8th for Cody Brinson. James Milblockler is going to be in 9th position, and just to pop up into the top 10 at a moment will be Jeremy Adams.
11th going to get a Paul Henley. 12th, that 7 of Christian Murphy. 13th goes to Randy Yoakum. 14th, John McNacka. 15th going to go to John Lyday. 16th goes to, or actually, yeah, 15th goes to John Lyday. 16th, Matthew Murphy. 17th, Rory Blum. Brad Carpenter. 18th. 19th is going to be Eric Forbes. Tyler Jordan is going to round out your top 20.
That's how we will reset for this one. Rest of the cars out of this race. 82 laps down, 44 to go. And another picture-perfect restart for Matt Cocker. Green flag back in the air. No challenge for P2, though. Peterson going to be single file in that spot to turn number 1. First fight is going to be for third. Wilkinson on the inside, but the 18 of Todd Garrett. Nice move up top to steal third away as Wilkinson got a little bit sideways, and the 18 machine jumped all over him.
42 laps to go right now at the line as Pearson was, spinning in the back. Huge crash on the front straightaway. And turn 2 as well as the 7 gets into the wall. It's Christian Murphy, and well, everyone else is involved as well. Goodness, we have number 22 of John Lyday, and Kyle Leverall is just going to come to the tail end of that in the number 24. We're going to see what happened here in just a few moments. I saw someone get into the wall coming out of turn number 4 as well. So it looks like the start up in turns 3 and 4. Actually, no, the start-finish line. Scott Austin and 24 of Kyle Leverall get into each other, and that just causes a huge chain reaction wreck after that.
I think Leverall just pushed up the hill too much. The 24 car is the one you want to be looking for coming off of the corner. He and the 05 were side by side. To be honest, I'm not sure how much higher up the racetrack Scott Austin could go. And right there, you will see up at the top of the screen, look for the 24 car on the inside of the side by side. And they're going to get into each other right here before the line. The 24 spins sideways. And then obviously with Brinson coming back up the track, that's where we saw all of those additional cars pile in. And just for being 2-3 laps off for the restart, no surprise, it was a big one once the track was blocked.
Yeah, at that point, Evan, you really just don't have anywhere to go, and that's exactly what we've seen on a lot of those drivers. I mean, when you're going off into the corner like that, you don't really have a lot of time, especially at a short track like this one, Myrtle Beach. You know, you don't have a lot of time to really slow down, stop, or correct yourself, so you're basically a passenger at that point, and that's exactly what we've seen. Unfortunate for a lot of those drivers.
All of a sudden, in a race that we were talking about 125 laps, not going to be that long, pace of this race has significantly slowed just past the halfway point. We'll try it again. A restart going to be just inside of 40 laps to go, but in all honesty, Gary, I don't see these guys racing any cleaner from this point to the end. You would expect that the intensity is only going to get ramped up a little bit more every single time we go through the routine and have a restart.
Yeah, everyone's going to be pushing a lot harder and a lot quicker just for that one position that they want. But look at this. Christian Pearson starting on the outside. We've seen him get passes done on the outside as well. So if if Christian isn't caught sleeping on this restart, then he will be able to get that advantage.
See how this one plays out. It has been all Matt Cocker, but he mixes it up. Is going to be on the inside line this time, coming out of turn number 4, and a good jump for the 23 as well. So it's going to be side by side across the line. I don't think it's good enough of a jump to challenge for the race lead, but Peterson is going to be able to right there tuck in line and get into the number 2 position. Anytime you can be on the outside of the racetrack, not lose anything on the restart, I would call it a success. No lead changes in front and no changes inside of the top 5. Wilkinson still going to be 3rd, Guerin 4th, Milbachler 5th, but that one a little bit more hazy because Will Trevicki in the 30 car, the dark purple entry right there, slides high, and he'll win that fight for the number 5 spot.
Yeah, currently doing a good job. Will Trevicki just really riding around the top 10. Started 4th, riding in the 6th place position. Actually going to probably be 5th after he slid up in that position. So really interesting to see how Will Trevicki has really traversed these Tour late models. Meanwhile, up front, Team Vincier going to be doing battle here in a little bit. Christian Peterson doing a great job at tracking down his teammate Matt Cocker. Look at the run that 23 machine got off as a spinner in the back.
I should have flagged us out once more and see that 21 machine of Milbachler sideways. This time it actually is the 21 machine of James Milbachler in turn number 4, and that was a little bit of a forcing the issue on behalf of Paul Henley, who is kind of half committed to this line. You'll watch that 16 machine, the right-hand side of your screen. He'll come into this in turn 3. The 21 gets loosened up, and right here, he's got the momentum, and I think the 21 gives him the lane and then doesn't want to give him any more. I think that one can basically be chalked up to a racing incident at first view. You see the 16 driving through the inside. Looks like he was bullying his way in there, but from what I saw from that up-top angle, it looked like Milbachler left the inside open, Chris, and then decided to just close it halfway through the turn.
You're exactly right, Evan. That's what happened. You know, it looked like he saw that he was coming just a little bit too late, tried to shut the door and just didn't get it shut in time. And as you see on the onboard of that 21 machine, it just shows you how quickly and how fast these things can get turned around.
Another slowdown in this one. More drivers involved in that accident try to limp themselves to pit road. It'll be sit with 13 cars still scored on the lead lap in this race. Lap number 92 as we work under yellow, though. Once again, do want to take another opportunity to remind you that coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim behind the wheel, on top of the pit box, or from the spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can keep up to date with the full running order scrolling across the top of your screen. As we work into the closing laps of this one for the Myrtle Beach Speedway, we do it again. Another good jump for Peterson. He'll do exactly what he did the first time, and that is tuck in line for second, protect that positioning. Wilkinson again third. No changes, top four once more.
Everyone's making their way through, but on the outside for that 5th place position, I'm seeing that number 4, Randy Yoakum. He's going to take a great recovery right here after spinning out in that start and not causing a caution, but he can't get that momentum once again. As right now, 23, Christian Peterson is going to be all over the back bumper, as it looks like Coker got into the wall on the outside, coming onto the back straightaway, so that's going to leave the inside open for Christian Peterson, and Peterson's going to get loose on the inside. I think we can see why he likes that outside lane a lot more.
Yeah, if you're claustrophobic, inside's probably not the place to be here either at Myrtle Beach. You got those curves in 1 and 2. You got the pit road wall down in 3 and 4. We've seen multiple people find issues in both cases, but they look into the inside and kind of cutting that corner off, making that little bit of an arc out of the quarter. Really good for the 23, but a big slide. Peterson really struggling to get that car to hook up as he goes into the corner, and he's not able to get it back corrected in time. He finally gets back to the gas, but obviously at that point, was back in front of him, so not for lack of trying. Peterson's being aggressive. I just don't know if that car really likes it way down there.
And I don't know how many more attempts you can really have before those tires go off that thing, Evan. I mean, we're almost approaching lap 100, which would mean 25 laps to go. And at that point, you only have so many more chances before maybe you get caught in a battle with Brandon Wilkinson, who is doing a really good job right now of holding off Todd Guerin and kind of just sitting back and letting these two teammates do battle as they go off of turn 2. Christian Peterson kind of gets a little bit of a run on Matt Cucker, and you kind of try to see him use it to go down to the inside line. But really, Matt Cucker should know better than anybody what line to take away from Christian Peterson, and he's really taking away that high line, and he is leaving Christian Peterson the inside line, and Peterson doesn't like it at all.
And that's a smart move by the 69er to shoot Matt Cucker, because you can leave that inside wide open. Gary, it was a point that you made earlier on in the night that when Matt Cucker was trying to get to the race lead, he was favoring a line that was a little bit higher than Jeremy Adams, who was leading at the time. So I think it's a win-win for Matt Cucker. He's not really deviating from his line to leave the inside open, but a mistake right there catches the wall. You can be up top, but you can't be too high up. And Peterson on the inside is always going to be a threat, but I think Cucker is in his preferred lane regardless of if that 23 is down there or not, and that bodes well for him. Although if Peterson can figure out how to get that big slot on entry away, then he's got a good shot at this thing, as they're still side by side for the race lead.
Peterson is there. He just has to find the momentum to get by Matt Cucker right there. Hopefully for Cucker, he doesn't get into the wall again, because, well, he's gotten to it about twice right now, I believe. As Christian Peterson has the advantage on turns 1 and 2, he's going to get into the rumble strip as well. That's going to set him back a little bit. That's going to set him back actually to straight behind Matt Cucker. So just many problems around this racetrack for some of these drivers. Like you mentioned, the exit of turn number 2, that outside wall, actually no, just even here, the entry of turns 1 and 2, the rumble strip, and then we got the exit of turn 2, that back straight wall, as these guys get really close to it, sometimes even too close. And well, if you somehow do manage to hit the inside walls in 3 and 4 as well, if you go too low. But Pearson now trying the inside lane as opposed to his high lane as well. So Pearson trying out something new for the night, and he's going to get there by the looks of it, but he can't stay to the inside as of yet, as he is right there, just less than half a car length behind Cucker.
And as you can see at the top of your screen, inside of 25 laps to go for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Another mistake off to the corner. Cooker didn't get into the outside wall that time, but he was pretty darn close. Checked it up, and Peterson actually has a small advantage halfway through the quarter. Cooker gets a good run off. That's exactly what we expect to see out of the 60 Honda machine. You go on board with Wilkinson and watch the side-by-side battle for the race lead in front of us. And again, the 60 Honda machine gets so very close to clearing him, but makes a mistake. That 69 is cutting it really close off of the corner, getting the wall almost every other lap now. Not really hurting the car. They're very light taps, but if you're the 23 of Peterson, maybe you think about pushing him up the hill a little bit more, keep that pressure on him, and maybe force him into a mistake that would let yourself get to the race lead.
Yeah, trying to get him to the race lead here, Evan, is now they're still side by side, which surprises me, because going 100+ laps on these tires, you would think they would really be gone, but they're not. They're doing a really good job at saving them and trying to make the most out of this run. And as you can see, Christian Peterson, Matt Cooker hard in the outside wall. Huge mistake from that 69 machine, so not much more of a battle now as Christian Peterson takes the lead now, 3 wide for second. Not gonna quite amount to anything as Matt Cooker escaped with a huge hit right there.
Almost like I said, forces 69 into a mistake. Peterson was a little bit tighter on him off of the corner, still left him room for a car, but not much more. And just like that, Christian Peterson has gone to the race lead, and interestingly enough, both the lead changes now. When Cooker went to the race lead, and just now when Peterson went to the race lead, were on self-inflicted errors by the at-time race leaders. You can see now side by side, and obviously a relook at that battle there with Peterson on the inside of the racetrack. Kept trying, and every time off of the corner, it was still so very close, a very minuscule difference. But right there, small mistake opens up the door, and right there into the outside wall. Peterson never got into him, but he kept making Matt Cooker a little bit unwavering and made him feel nervous, if you will. And I'm surprised that Matt Cooker's race car is not torn up, because that was a pretty good hit. Those right side tires were all the way up in the air, but as we go back to the live shot right there, he's only a car length off still for the race lead.
In fact, he didn't even hit one. I believe he just hit the wall coming out of turn number 2 again. I'm not really sure, but nonetheless, he's acting like it hasn't happened. He hit the wall twice, actually, in that same incident as well, but his car is acting like it hasn't even happened as well. But something for Christian Peterson to hopefully take advantage of is, well, Cooker is right on the back bumper as of right now. Mason Dunn is the next person to catch up to, as you have an onboard shot from the back bumper of Peterson as well. Looking to the inside, is Cooker a little bit loose coming out turn number 4, can't get it quite done. He's still looking to the inside, and well, we're only coming to 10 laps to go just this next time around as well. But hopefully for Peterson that he can hang off Matt Cooker, because oh my goodness, that is going to be an insane problem for Peterson if he somehow messes up again.
Traffic on the horizon. That's the 51 machine of Mason Dunn. 13th, last car in the lead lap. He'll stay way down to the inside. It'd be an odd factor, but if I'm Todd Garrett right now sitting third, I'm liking the spot I'm in, because these two up front have fought back and forth all season long. Not to say that they might get a little bit more aggressive tonight in the final race of the year than they have yet. Yellow flag, though, will fly, and that'll change everything, because we'll have a race start after the caution flag for the 27 car.
Yeah, out for the 27 car of Cody Brinson here, Evan, as we try to get the replay to see what happened going on here. As we go off into the corner, it looks like he just got some contact from the 31 machine, it looks like. Brad Carpenter, not even maybe contact, maybe just into the outside wall, and it kind of just hooked him around there, Evan. So not really sure. That just goes to show you how not really knowing how wide these cars are with that push bar.
Well, and where your when you look at the shape of these cars, the driver's side is significantly further, Gary, to the left of the car. You're not sitting in the middle, so those push bars on the right-hand side and those tires, they stick much further out on the right-hand side of the race car. So, you know, you're not centered by any means. So we've seen that many a time, somebody get up into the outside wall and then hook them around, and that's something as simple as, and you could even relate that back to what's been happening with Matt Kucker as well. You just don't know where you are, and especially in a tight quarter situation like that, you know, you end up messing up, and a tough break for the 2-7 car who brings out the yellow, and obviously not intentional. There was no contact between those two, but this means we get another fun restart out of it between Peterson and Kucker.
More than just another restart, the last restart, I believe, as well. And, of course, it's going to be an amazing shootout to watch as well. So this time it's going to be one lap to green. Pearson chooses the inside, Kucker to the outside. It'll be an interesting battle to see. So, of course, like you mentioned, it's just it's pretty obvious as well from some of these camera angles. You can see how wide that right side is. Even I myself have driven these and totally, completely misjudged where that right side was as compared to, well, pretty much any other car. But this is going to be an amazing 5-lap shootout to watch.
And of course, we do have an opportunity if we get a yellow late in this one to still go back green. But this might be it. 5 laps to go for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. The non-existent pace cars off and in. These guys in control of themselves. And Peterson with another good jump. And the bad news here for Kucker is he's under fire. Here comes the 18 at Todd Guerin, trying to get up the P2 for the first time tonight. He might not complete the pass, but if he holds off Kucker for just a little bit, that's great news for the 2-3 in front.
Caution out once again, Evan, and
that's a 4 of Randy Yoakum in turns 3 and 4.
Is going to be the 4, like Gary said, of Randy Yoakum down in 3 and 4.
And it's tough to not put blame on the 4 there of Yoakum. We talk about driver squeezing, and you can see that 21 machine up on the outside just didn't give him any room. I don't know if he didn't see him there or what, but Randy Yoakum kept coming up, and eventually Milbachler's going to get into the outside wall, and that 4 with a flat spin didn't end there, though. Then we saw John Bignacca go around in the 92 car as a secondary piece to that accident, but if you on board with Bignacca as all that happens in front of him, I mean, Milbachler's riding up against the fence trying to not get into him.
So it looks like we're... As unfortunate as this, we're going to get a 1-lap shootout as well. So, or sorry, a 2-lap shootout, I believe. As my mistake, we are, however, on 1 to green as well. So, this is going to be an amazing restart. This is something that Christian Pearson just has to repeat for his last restart. 2 laps to go once we go green once again.
That goes back to the point I made about these manual restarts. Is any other circumstance, this race would be over, but we are going to have one more green-white checker attempt for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Field in the hands of Peterson. Look for him to try to get the jump coming off for the corner. He's going to be able to get off in a way he's clear, but Matt Kucker right there in second at 2 to go.
Matt Kucker in second as everything is coming down to this. This will be it. Christian Peterson leading Matt Kucker. Matt Kucker's got to try to do something, make some sort of run coming here. We got 2 laps to go. Coming out of 4, white flag. Matt Kucker they're both gonna get loose. White flag, 1 more lap to go as they go off into 1.
Looks to the inside. Both cars are sideways, and Kucker's on the inside. Big slot by Peterson. This one's going to be decided in the final corner. Side by side. Kucker down low. Peterson up top. And the 23 car is going to get tagged, and he will still make it to the line. Christian Peterson wins in this Tour Modified main event to the Myrtle Beach 400. Not for lack of trying, as Matt Kucker wrecks it across the line. But not enough. Peterson by a 10th.
Now that was an amazing finish to watch. Goodness. Christian Peterson was, well, pretty much almost sideways coming across the start-finish line. He did manage to hang back onto it. Matt Kucker trying to do some type of something to loosen up Peterson. As you can see the replay right here, just coming back up into the left rear quarter panel of Peterson. Peterson pretty much sideways right there. And, well, unfortunately, that sends Kucker around, but Kucker still manages to finish in second place coming to the start-finish line. But Peterson tonight is your winner after an amazing battle, an amazing finish. And, well, like you mentioned, Evan, these manual cautions are so much better because they give us finishes like this.
They were able to race it out with each other in an impressive win for the 23 car Chris. He had to have known that something was coming. I'm not sure how much you can prepare for that, how you can brace yourself, and I don't think, again, the 69 had any intentions of completely wrecking him, but he definitely went in there in a desperation move, trying to get a bump on him late. He made the contact, but he wasn't able to lock it up.
Yeah, that just goes to show you just how much both of those drivers wanted it at the end, going 125 laps doing battle, and what a great finish to the race. Unfortunately, Matt Cucker got a little bit sideways at the end of it, but great win by Christian Peterson.
Great win for Peterson. We'll try to catch a word with him post-race in just a moment. First, take a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Christian Peterson gets the win from 5th position. We talked about that slow and steady charge to the front. Basta would have mattered the most. Advantage of a race start there and takes the win tonight from Myrtle Beach. Matt Cucker won these cars the only other time we've seen them this year. Almost went twofer, although he ends up in 2nd position in this race. Todd Guerin still with an impressive run, 15th to 3rd. Polson of Brandon Wilkinson did not fall any further than 4th. Gets that top 5 result to the P5. Goes to the 30 of Will Dravicki. Late entry, though, for the biggest mover. Kyle Everalt will tie Cody Brinson for getting 14 positions. He comes home at a number 6 spot. No Blockler 7th. And then there is Brinson in the number 8 position. John McNaka comes home at 9th. And Mason Dunn rounds out your top 10.
11th will go to that 16 of Paul Hanley. Scott Austin will go 12th. 13th, Brad Carpenter. 14th, Randy Yoakum. 15th, Tyler Jordan. Jeremy Adams started 2nd, going to finish all the way back in 16th. John Lyday, 17th. 18th, Christian Murphy. Dustin Turner's 19th. Rounding out your top 20, it's Matthew Murphy.
Rounding out the field will be the number 72 of Rory Blum. Eric Forbes finishes in 22nd. Also on the bad side of the finish would be Nick Zotner. He starts 6th. Unfortunately, he has finished 23rd. Robbie Bunden finishes 24th. And rounding out the 25 car field, it's going to be the 32 of Robert Torgson.
So that's a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. We go trackside and chat with the driver of the number 23 machine, Christian Peterson, your tour modified winner tonight for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Christian, congratulations. Before we talk about what was a very long and well-spirited 125 lap contest, just tell us about the end there. You would have been going back and forth at a couple of restarts, and on 2 to go there, obviously racing it out to the end with a little bit of contact coming to the line. That 2-3 makes it first.
Yeah, for sure. But first off, I just got to thank everybody at here and the 6-man and everybody who came out tonight. It was a hell of a show. Kyle put on a hell of a show with this tour mod here. But yeah, going back to the end, I didn't expect, even if we got a wreck in the back, I didn't expect for him to throw a yellow if it was just a couple cars. I figured, you know, he'd let us race it out to the end, but he made the right call, and he threw a yellow, and we had like a 2-lap shootout. Threw us down. Made us go a little slower under pacing to allow that to happen, and that was really good by him and race control. But yeah, Cucker, hats off to him and 18 and the 26. We all raced like really super clean and all race. And I mean, I wasn't trying to cut down on Cucker coming off 4 there. I was trying to get him, you know, let him have the run, but the thing was just so loose, you know, after all those laps. Even with saving tire at the beginning, that it just, you know, contact happens, and you know, we got to go back home and rebuild that 69 car.
But that's exactly something that we mentioned, you know, kind of 30, 40 laps into this race, is as you got one spot here and one spot there. The fact that you guys are very good at conserving those tires and trying to make them to last to the end. And obviously in a 125 lap race, longer than what we're used to seeing, was a big factor in this one. But we really saw anytime he tried to go to the inside to get up to the front, I mean, the car was really, really sliding in to center it off. Was that a problem just on the inside, or at that point with the tires as they were, was that basically where you put it on track?
I mean, it was like that everywhere, but it was more violent, you know, I'd say on the bottom. The top, you could still throw it in, and it would still get loose, but it was a little bit more controllable, and especially just because you didn't have somebody near outside, you know, worrying about washing up into them. So right at the end, like I was trying to give Cucker as much room as I could at the early shots I took at him. But once we got that little longer run, I think around like lap 95 or 98 or something to like 115 or whatever it was, I decided I was giving him a little bit too much room on entry. So if I took a little bit more, I might be able to hit the apex a little better in both turns and get the run off that I needed. So it didn't work out exactly that way, but it happened. I was executing what I thought I needed to, and Cucker made a small mistake, got into the outside wall, and I was there to capitalize on it.
We've seen you guys park a car into victory lane many good times this season. First time with the Tour Modified. Does it feel good?
Oh yeah, I love this thing. Anything with power.
Let you take off. Again, we appreciate your time. Anybody else you want to say hi to, Christian, while we got you?
Just parents downstairs, girlfriends over here watching. Just everybody watching on LSRTV.
125 down, 200 to go. Best of luck. That's your race winner in the Tour Modifieds to open up the night. Christian Peterson in the number 23 car gets the win, and he gets obviously that elusive checkered flag, becoming one of only 2 winners in these cars this year, joining Matt Cucker from earlier on in the season. So we'll take this opportunity to step aside. When we come back, though, the main event is still to come with the Blue Ridge Napa late model stocks. You're watching the Myrtle Beach 400, part of LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Championship Esports Association's Myrtle Beach Simulation Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live for race number 2 when we come back.
The best late model stock drivers in the country kick off 2018 racing for $10,000 at Tri-County Motor Speedway when the Cars Tour visits for the Do the Do 150. Bring a Mountain Dew product to save $3 off admission, or Do the Do 4-pack with 4 tickets, 4 dogs, and 4 dews for only $60. Gates open at 1, racing begins at 3 on Saturday, March 10th. Advance tickets are on sale now. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit carsracingtour.com.
And welcome back live to the Myrtle Beach Speedway as tonight's coverage of the Myrtle Beach 400 continues at LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Happy that you're with us on a Wednesday night. The final one, though, of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. We already mentioned earlier tonight, plenty of short track action and action within the Championship Esports Association coming up on LSRTV. But for the 21st and last time, we're with you on a Wednesday night. Just saw the Tour Modified race, a fantastic finish between Christian Peterson and Matt Cucker as Peterson took home the win. Now we transition to part number 2, and that is with the late model stocks back on track. 200 laps to up, Chris, the longest race of the season.
Yeah, 200 laps, all to end out the Myrtle Beach 400. As I said, just like the real life Myrtle Beach Speedway does. So should be an interesting race, to say the least. If it's anything like we should expect from the last race, it's going to be exciting from end to end, and there's going to be battling all over the place, and I can't wait to see what these drivers have in store for 200 laps.
And obviously these late model stocks carry nothing like what we just saw in the Tour Modifieds. Obviously another iteration of a car that's built for short track racing. But they run very differently, not nearly as low to the ground, so you might be able to get away with a little bit more beating and banging, and maybe a little bit more on those curbs like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, hopefully these late models can actually stay on the curbs just a little bit longer, and these things, I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure they can take some extent of damage, but not as much as the Tour Modifieds can, especially getting hit in the back bumper. These things could probably lift up a little bit easier on the back end and then spin around a lot more.
It remains to be seen. It'll be a fun conclusion to this one, a championship in these late model stocks that has already been secured handily by Matt Cucker. This has been the most competitive series over the course of the year, seeing 58 different competitors compete. in this late model stock division. And as we go tracks on and get set to take a look at your starting grid, I want to remind you that coverage of the late model stocks are brought to you by Blue Ridge Napa of Fort Chiswell, Virginia. Napa is your trusted source for automotive parts, accessories, and know-how for your car, truck, or SUV. Shop online for original OEM and replacement parts today at www.napaonline.com. Down on the grid, Christian Peterson, somebody we were just talking about a little bit. He's got a good shot at this one, but he will have to chase down Matt Cucker, who just came home bridesmaid in the Tour Modifieds. The 69 will bring us to the green flag this evening, already having amassed a very impressive 9 late model stock wins on this 17-18 campaign. Will Javicki going to be with him on the front row. The 30 car will start second tonight. Jeremy Adams starts third. Matthew Murphy outside of row 2 at fourth, and Brandon Wilkinson in P5.
Sixth is going to go to that 23 machine of Christian Peterson. Saw him pick up the win at Torma. He's going to be looking to do the same here in the late model. 7th going to go to Todd Guerin. Tyler Jordan 8th and 9th. James Malacco rounding out your top 10. Paul Henley.
Starting 11th in that number 5 is going to be Eric Ford. Starting 12th is going to be Mason Dunn. 13th is going to be Michael Powell in that number 2, and Andrew Wooten starting to his outside in the 14th position. And Jeff Ward starting in the 89 rounds out your top 15.
Joined on that row by that 16th machine to Scott Austin on the outside row. 17th is going to go to Michael Goddard and John Bignaka in 18th position. Back on row number 10, 19th starting spot to Michael Held, and Kyle Leveralt is to roll from 20th, although that car not currently on track. Roll off from the pit lane. Missed the start of the race. Only other driver on track, that's Rory Plum inside of row number 11. Pace car going to dive down to the safety of the pit lane this time. And for the final time this year, we'll have a green flag to start a race with the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. So happy that you've been with us all season long. The last 200 laps are upon us. Tonight's Myrtle Beach 400. Field in the hands of the 69 machine of Matt Cucker. He looks for and takes the American Ethanol green flag, and we're underway.
Going down off into turn 1, Matt Cucker going to lead him to Vicky, trying to hold on the outside, but he's going to have to take on that 19 of Jeremy Adams. Adams looking to be inside, trying to get any momentum going on. Meanwhile, behind them, Todd Guerin and the 8 machine are going to be doing better. That's Matthew Murphy. Matthew Murphy almost gets in the inside, or outside, I should say, of Christian Peterson, as he's really struggling on that outside line. Meanwhile, other drivers struggling on the outside line. Will Javicki loses that 2nd place position to Jeremy Adams. And now Todd Guerin going to look to the inside. So Guerin doing exactly what he did, similar in the Tour mods, making his way quickly up to the field.
Very tight that time off at turn 4, not leaving much more breathing space for the 26 of Brandon Wilkinson, as he just about doored him coming up and out of turn number 4. So Guerin does move up to 4th, and you do see Wilkinson swapping back, drops to 5th position at all of this, but Guerin by no means is done single file for a majority of the field. But I just can remind a couple of the more scrappy individuals back in the pack, and this is a long way to go. Don't wreck the cars early on. As you look out the back of Jeremy Adams, that's Will Javicki trying to challenge for 3rd. Everybody's still tightly pressed up out the back end. With your race leader, the 69 machine of Matt Tucker, he's got a little bit more distance than everybody else. He sits about 4 car lengths to the good.
Speaking of distance, there isn't really a lot of distance between Todd Guerin's front bumper and Javicki's back bumper, at least heading into turn 1, but these 3 drivers 2nd through 4th right here, they're just trying to battle out as quick as possible. As you can see on board Todd Guerin, just look how close he is coming out of turn 4. So that's basically an example of absolutely no distance, but these guys do have a lot of experience, obviously, racing these cars, so they know what can and can't, what they can and can't do. And of course, sometimes they even stretch it out probably, and we'll definitely see that. But of course, definitely not this early on. As I'm looking through the field, I'm seeing basically everybody single file for the most part, because while aside from that, this is a little bit different obviously from the Tour Modifieds, because they had 125 laps as opposed to these late models running 200 laps.
And these, the late model stocks run longer races than what we see, in other divisions, but they tend to be 50 to 75 or so, so 200 is very much the longest stint we've seen in these cars all year. as you see a very quick battle for third come to go. Todd Garrett gets another one. You're on board with Will Javicki, who just dropped from third to fourth position. So maybe Garrett not necessarily buying into the mindset that you need to take it really easy over the course of these 200 laps. He's already +4 in the opening 9 laps of this thing. Now, that's not the most out of anybody. Drivers back in the pack have picked up 5 here or there, like Jeff Ward in the middle of the pack, but obviously up front it does take a considerate more amount of effort to be able to get that many spots at once, as you see Jeff Ward right now running in the 10 spot.
Yeah, Jeff Ward running in 10th, making his way up, like you mentioned, 15th to 10th. Gonna have a little bit more of maybe a comeback from that 4 machine of Andrew Wooten, trying to get to the back bumper of that 89 machine. Not going to quite be there just yet, so we'll have to see how that battle really turns out here in a few laps. Meanwhile, looking at your starters, Todd Garrett all over the back bumper of the 19 of Jeremy Adams. So the 19 and 18 doing battle off of turns 3 and 4 as they cross the line. Looking Todd Garrett going to try to maybe shade the high side. Not going to quite get there. Going to lose some momentum, but makes up for it with that humongous run off. You see just how close they were with that on board of the back bumper. Todd Garrett going to look to the inside of Jeremy Adams. Not going to quite clear him, and does, crossing the line to complete lap 12.
Another one in the bank for the 18 to Todd Garrett. Continues to chug to the front of the field, but now you've got that significantly larger gap because Jeremy Adams was never really able to get away from Javicki and Wilkinson. The battle between second, third, fourth, and Excedra was still very much a tight one for the start of this race, but out of that 18 to Garrett, now trying to make up what was a half a second gap between first and second position, but Matt Cucker doesn't look that far away anymore. The 18 is really digging hard, and again, get to the race lead early. Lead lap's not a terrible idea, but the question is, what are those tires going to be like at lap 114, at 174.84, as opposed to just 14 laps into this thing? That'll be the overall question that determines who wins this race or not.
Yeah, it's also going to play a big factor if Todd Garrett can at least save his tires as well, because, well, last time around he was saying 0.4 seconds back, but right now, well, it has gone back to 0.4, but now it's slowly dropping down to 0.3, and as Todd Garrett inches ever so closer, the 10th win for Matt Coker in this late model series could actually not come for him this season.
If that changes over the course of the next 84 laps or so. But I do think that a majority of the field has kind of locked it down and has gone into just ride mode. You got to get a long way through this race, and something else to keep in mind is there's going to be a competition to pit stop at lap 147. So get to that point, obviously you have the option to come down, take tires. Maybe some drivers will neglect to try to make up track position. That'll be a strategy call later on in this race, but you know that you could go at least 120 laps between the next yellow flag if people continue to spread themselves out, so there's no reason for anybody to tear up equipment early on.
Yeah, there's really no use, and early on means very, very early on, right, Evan? Because 200 laps in this race here tonight, the longest distance we've seen, which means this is something these guys aren't really used to. You know, you get your 100 lap features and your 50 lap features every now and then, but 200 laps is unheard of. They're going to have to take care of their stuff. They're going to have to pick and choose their battles. They're going to have to watch their tires. If we thought the tires were really bad in the last race, adding 100 more laps onto that is just going to be crazy insane to see these guys work through. So Matt Cucker really leading, doing a good job at managing these tires. We know in past races that he is really good at saving those tires and still being fast, but we'll have to see how long it takes Todd Garrett, because Todd Garrett is really slowly but surely reeling in that 69 machine, but we'll have to wait really later on in the run. Pretty much a waiting game here. Hurry up and wait, Evan, as we're crossing lap 21 to 22.
Seems to be the way a lot of these endurance races are, just to hurry up and wait, because it's very easy for somebody to see, and not necessarily somebody like a Matt Cucker is baiting a Todd Garrett into making a move, but when you're in a position only 0.7 of a second off of a guy like Matt Cucker, you get a little bit of adrenaline pump, and you say, okay, this guy is all but dominated in these late model stocks this year. I already mentioned the 9 wins that he's had at 18 starts. He has 17 top 10s in 18 starts. So what he's done has been quite incredible. So you know, early on, it's very easy to forget the grand scheme of things, that tunnel vision, if you will, and get excited. That adrenaline starts flowing, and you just want to go for it. These experienced drivers will sit back and pace themselves a little bit more, and maybe that's what Guerin's doing now, because he has significantly dropped off at the back of Kuykendall to 8 tenths behind him.
Yeah, Todd Guerin just deciding that his strategy to catch up and get to that lead as quick as possible isn't really optimal, especially since we're right now working lap 25 of, again, 200. So I just mentioned earlier, like early on, well, this is pretty much the early on point of this race. Once it gets down to 100 laps to go, well, that's when people maybe actually start going. And of course, they'll definitely be pushing a lot harder come lap 147 for their competition pit stop.
And it's an interesting number. I think, obviously, the intention is to be able to get back into green flag conditions, Chris, with about 50 laps to go in this race. If you have the option to, do you neglect the tires for the track position? Because 50 laps again, and this is where the semantics can all get confusing and kind of cloud your vision. 50 laps to the end of a 200-lap race you don't think is that much. But also 50 laps is basically an entire race length that you've been running all year, so I would want those tires.
Yeah, I'd definitely take tires, especially at a track like this where we can see the track state change so dramatically and so quickly, as we see, you know, Jeremy Adams just a little bit kind of sideways through 1 and 2. It's already starting to happen. We're only 28 laps in. What I'm really looking forward to is exactly what we saw in the last race, all that rubber buildup, and just to see how fast the lane, or how quickly the lanes will change and go up, as never mind caution going to be out.
Oh, and it's a big wreck in turn 2. Race leaders were right up on it. Rory Blum in the 72 has a lot of damage, and all started in front of him with the 37 car of Michael Goddard. We'll take a second look sideways. That first time, that's down in 3 and 4. The accident happens down at the other end of the racetrack. You'll see he gets sideways again, and that car just slides, and there's nowhere for the 2 and the 72 to go because they're side by side, and unfortunately, that 72 mission to Rory Blum gets hit once, and watch though, he'll slide down the hill and get hit again right there, tagged by another car coming through as he rolled down in front of him, and that car was obliterated.
Yeah, that was the 5 of Eric Forbes, and it's just really unfortunate that I guess the 72 thought he was clear, but unfortunately that is not the case. So should have, I guess he just had some brake problems as well. So right now it's going to be unfortunate for Eric Forbes as well, both Forbes and Leverall, as they both have heavy front end damage, as we're going to get 2 laps to go right now until green.
Very quick restart in this one. It'll break up some of the separation. 17 cars scored on the lead lap. Obviously, the 92 John Bignaka, Kyle Leveralt, and then Michael Goddard and Rory Blum are the drivers who sit off of the lead lap now. 17 of the 22 who started this one still going to be scored on the lead lap. Goddard is going to bring that car behind the wall, so his night is done. In the blink of an eye, just like that, he will be the first DNF on the evening, and will end up, assuming nobody else racks out, that's a lap down already in the next 5 laps, will end up in 22nd. But 22 cars for this one. Gonna double up for the restart. Watch Matt Kuykendall. He chose a couple of different lines on the last race. He wants the outside for his first late model stock restart. Again, obviously on the drop of the green flag, he was down low, but he's gone topside for this one.
Yeah, and we know how, you know, quick Matt Kuykendall is with that outside line. We've seen it all season in multiple classes during the course of this Myrtle Beach season, Evan. So I'm going to be looking to see him get a great start and really carry it down into 1 with that outside line.
That's exactly what he wants to do on paper. We will see what happens in practice. As you see the 18 and the 69 come side by side off of the corner. Kuykendall in control up top, gets that jump. You see about a car length to 2 car lengths before that white line. Once you cross the white line, you're exiting that restart zone. That's when the green flag will actually drop, and that 18 to Todd Guerin could go. So Kuykendall jumps it by that little bit. That's his right as the control car, and does a nice job of staying up front.
I saw the 19 of Adams get onto the curbing in 1 and 2 a little bit, but he did manage to keep it under control. But nonetheless, a battle for that 4th place position is going to be between the 30 of Javicki on the outside and that 23 of Peterson. So Pearson finally managing to get an advantage right there on the inside, slowly making his way back up into that 4th place position. Well, at least he's attempting to right now, so he has the advantage on Dravicki at the start-finish line. About half a car length separates them and their time intervals, as well as just multiple side-by-side battles in the back as well. 29 and the 1, along with the 4, and it looks like the 89 as well.
That's exactly what you expect to see off of a restart. Is, yes, we'll preach to pace yourself and take it easy, but at the end of the day, very opportune times to try to make some passes. Side by side, back in the pack. I think it starts with 7th position. It goes on back from there. James Milbachler in the 1 car, side by side, as the 29 of Tyler Jordan is trying to make it up his inside. And there's also side by side behind them. The 1 and the 29 lead this charge by the line.
Yeah, leading the charge by the line. As you can see them still side by side by too deep, going through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be the 29, the 1, the 4, and the 89, it looks like. So still side by side battling going on throughout the back. Meanwhile, up front, Todd Guerin all over the back bumper of that 69 machine of Matt Cucker. As they come out of 2, he's going to lose some time though, coming out of 1 and 2 down the back straightaway, but he is there, and Matt Cucker knows it. Todd Guerin's been using that outside line, or inside line I should say, to his advantage, as now you see him running on the inside, and you can see the back end of Matt Cucker kind of kick out a little bit, coming out of the, or into the corner and out of the corner just a little bit. That just shows how hard he's driving and how far the tires have gone, Evan. It's going to be interesting to see how long they stay out on these tires, because these tires I don't think will make it a full 200 laps.
Not if they keep racing like this, that's for sure. As the fighting to back of the pack continues, things calm up front, but that 29 of Tyler Jordan still in a side-by-side fight. Jeff Ward with the 89, bobble that time at a 2. The 29 with the bobble, how about 3 wide? The 4 wanted it, and Wooten's going to think better of it. He tried to go up the middle in that red number 4 car, or the red numbers I should say, coming off of the corner, and he thought better of it. It was a close call. Ward going to end up in 8th. He is your biggest mover, already halfway up to the front. Jordan settles 9th, and then Wooten settles 10th, who you're right on board with.
Just an amazing battle, and luckily that near 3 wide action has finally sorted itself out to single file. But nonetheless, Todd Guerin finally he's actually found this line. By the looks of it, he's right up against that back bumper of Coker again, or should I say Matt Cucker. But it just, caution actually on the racetrack, and not sure where it is. Back straight away, 2 cars. That's Tyler Jordan and the number 29, the number 8 of Matthew Murphy.
Winners on the back. Yellow flag is back out, and well, the 29 had been involved in quite the few battles off for the restart, but this one was all on his own. You'll take a look at the replay. Sideways off of the corner is where you'll see the problem. It's going to happen down this time to 1. The 4's looking on him, but never really makes that move, and the 29 slides and slides in just like the last accident we saw. It's when he overcorrects and snaps it back up the hill, he gets into the 4 and then completely blocks the track. The 8 car, I don't know how, but I think Matthew Murphy kept his car off of the 29 all but just a little bit. He should be completely destroyed. Instead, he's only got a little bit of cosmetic damage on the front end, so it could have been worse. But when you got a car swerving high and low in the middle of the racetrack, it's very difficult, Chris, to figure out where it's going to end up by the time you get to him.
And I think you nailed it perfectly. When you're coming out of a corner and you see the entire track blocked, it could be worse, and that's exactly probably what Matthew Murphy is thinking at this moment in time, because he really scathed by just by the skin of his teeth, really, or the front end of his car, because he could have easily been in that heavily. But we'll restack them once again. We know how strong Matt Cucker is. Going to get that one to go at the line to see where Matt Cucker goes, and this time he'll go on the inside. So he's keeping it fresh, switching it up here every now and then, Evan, but we'll have to see how Todd Guerin can do on this restart. We saw him getting to the back bumper of the 69 out later in the run. We'll have to see if he can keep up here as we get the green flag.
I'd be curious if that's a little bit of a mind game for Matt Cucker to not allow somebody like a Todd Guerin to get into a rhythm, restart on the inside a couple of times, and then maybe catch on to his secret. He'll be on the inside, still has the opportunity to put the right foot down first. But Todd Guerin can counter up on the outside of the racetrack. Cucker good again. Waited a little bit longer that time, but he'll still clear him to turn number 1. As Cucker leads the charge, Guerin safely into 2nd. The fight going to be for 3rd over Christian Peterson.
Well, not anymore as Peterson gets the advantage coming out turn number 2. Could be looking to the inside. Nope, but looking to the inside is going to be Todd Guerin, actually. Peterson going to make it 3 wide. No, he's just going to be running right behind, and really tight battle between Cucker and Guerin right there on the inside. And that number 18 is you right on board with Jeremy Adams right there. Getting a great view of this battle. Todd Guerin is going to be getting the advantage. He's going to get that lead coming out turn number 2. To the inside is going to be Peterson for that second place position as Cucker is starting to fall back.
It's in line. Matt Cucker ends up at the end of all of that, again losing those positions after what looked like a very good jump for him. The 18 got there, and I didn't really see any big bobble. That could be, again, though, never to underestimate the drive of the 69 car, Chris. Maybe once Guerin got to the inside, he figured, well, instead of just fighting back, digging really hard up top, I'll just tuck back in line. Again, third, still a very good place to be in at quarter distance.
Yeah, third is definitely not anything to complain about, especially after some of the wrecks we've had here tonight. So he'll definitely fall back into third behind Christian Peterson, and maybe even look to the inside. We know how these two battle. We saw it in the last race, them side by side for a number of laps.
Crash coming out turn number 4, the A9, the 1.
Caution's going to be out for that one with the 89 of Jeff Ford and Milwaukee. It was a fight for 7th and 8th, and you can see the 89 award visibly torn up as he limps around the inside of the racetrack. We'll try to get a second look at this one on the replay, Chris. It looks like the 89 just a little bit tight, pushed up, tagged the 1, and then I don't know if the 1 came back down into him just because he bounced off of the wall, or if he didn't appreciate the first shot and wanted to give him one back.
In any case, the 89 of Ward is definitely the loser in that situation. That back end is all tore up, but it looked for a little bit like the 1 of Milwaukee was going to be the one to get the short straw out of that one and be clobbered in the outside wall, but really just turned around on Jeff Ward hard in the outside wall and pretty much ended his night.
Tough to tell because the 1 doesn't have those bright Carl Edwards gloves to see if he's turning into him coming onto the straightaway, but it did look like the 1 wasn't very happy and wanted to send a message, and I think Milwaukee, a little bit of payback on that one. He'll be given the penalty for causing the caution. Will be sent to the back of the pack, so there go 2 drivers from inside of the top 10. That'll be a big shakeup at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this completely changes, well, most things actually, as we're only in lap 52, so we're quickly approaching that halfway point in the race, but also we're going to be even quicker approaching the lap 147 competition caution, as we're going to get 1 lap to green once we hit the start-finish line, this time by coming out of turn number 4, 147 laps to go once we hit the green.
Still a long way from home in this one for the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Again, if you're just trickling in with us, happy that you're with us. First off, for Wednesday night, this is the last race of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Just had the Tour Modifieds go for 125 laps, and late model stocks are ending the season for 200 laps in tonight's Myrtle Beach 400, last race on this season. It's on one all the way up until this point through the 20 weeks that have led up to tonight, and we've already had one fantastic finish in those tour mods earlier, and not expecting the late model stocks presented by Napa of Blue Ridge at all to let us down in the end of this one. Let's try it again as the 18 again, this time up top, but as the control car, green flag in the air. It's a good jump, but does he clear Peterson? He will, but not by a lot.
Yeah, clears Peterson, almost gets a little bit into the back, or the front end of Peterson, really close by Todd Guerin there as he really uses that inside line. See just how close he gets towards that inside wall. Peterson, though, not, stirring from that back bumper, still there, still applying the pressure, which that 23 machine is so good at. You'll see him get the run just a little bit out of turns 1 and 2, maybe look towards the inside, maybe look high. He's going to stay with that second lane as he likes the high side, and then you'll see him cut down and get that run. So maybe Todd Guerin should watch out, because Christian Peterson has found the way to get the run off the corner.
Anytime somebody in a veteran situation can pick up something extra, it's a dangerous. Look at the big run he gets, and probably again could have forced the issue, could have made that big swiping move to the inside, but he stayed in line. Peterson with another big run out of turn number 4. This time he'll stick the nose in. Garen doesn't necessarily want to give him the room, though. He eventually opened it up, Gary, but I think that 18 machine was still thinking about shutting the door, and it was a nice decision by Peterson to not force the issue, going to show that he's ready to make a move, but he's not ready to risk wrecking that race car to do it.
Yeah, it's their own way of communication, saying, hey, I'm going to be here, as Pearson is showing that right now. He'll make his way to the inside, and just watching this battle in front of him right now, it's going to be Matt Cucker, and I believe the 18 actually got into the wall a little bit, coming out of turn number 2. I saw some sparks fly, but look at this, Pearson to the inside, at the line, it's going to be Matt Cucker. As I was saying, it's just their own way of communication, saying, hey, I'm here, I'm faster than you, so I'm going to make my way by him. Well, Pearson did just demonstrate that, but of course these guys not really pushing the issue as of yet, but Matt Cucker will, as he's going to dive his way to the inside, because, well, these guys still have a long way to go. 141 laps to go this time.
And nobody's, sitting here saying, you have to be single file the entire race. If you've got a race car that's fast and you're feeling a little bit sporty, go out there and battle. I think a lot of it is these guys just trying to have fun, not a little bit maybe sizing each other up, but I don't think things are that serious, only 60 laps into a 200-lap race. Now we know, and infamously so, that short track tempers can tend to boil over a little bit prematurely. We've already seen a couple of good race cars get torn up. That's allowed the likes of Scott Austin and Michael Held to come from towards the back of the pack at the start of this one to inside of the top 10, because they have been able to take advantage of those making mistakes in turn for not making those very same mistakes on their own. So there's nothing to say that people can't get a little bit over at it early, and obviously short track tempers very much, I think, the determining factor in that last yellow. But I think the guys up front, especially Peterson and Cucker, they were rubbing and essentially, Chris, wrecking each other across the line in the last one. They've been racing side by side for wins all year long. I don't think they really think that either of them are going to win or lose this thing now. So they're just taking it stride by stride up front.
And I think that's really what you have to do to keep a level head and keep really a clean car here, Evan, is just keep all 4 tires on it and just ride. You don't really have to make any moves to maybe the last 30 to 25 laps in the race, and that's when you'll start seeing drivers really heat things up, and if they're farther back in the park, maybe 50 laps to go. But right now, all they really have to do is just ride, tick off the laps, and just keep the car under them, make everything count, and not try to push too hard for stuff that doesn't matter right now.
That is going to be the difference, I think, what makes, a veteran driver from somebody who's simply got a fast race car, is being able to properly pace yourself and keep that fast race car all the way through the end of this race. 17 cars right now running on the lead lap, and aside from a little bit of an exchange between Michael Powell and Andrew Wooten for 10th and 11th position, there really is no side-by-side on the racetrack.
Yeah, everyone pretty much has managed to sell themselves out. So, yeah, like you mentioned, well, I'm actually seeing Tyler Jordan and Michael Held side by side, 55 and 29. I believe a little bit of contact there coming out of turn number 4 as well. So these guys, you can see a little bit of damage as the 55 is going to go sideways into the corner, into the 29. Caution is going to come out. 29 heavily damaged right now. Goodness gracious. Well, at 55 almost had it. The 29 was about to make his way by, but Michael Held had overcorrected, and, well, unfortunately for Tyler Jordan, he was there at the incredibly wrong moment, as the replay is up on your screen, Evan.
And that's one where, I don't even think that's the case of somebody overdriving it. You see a little bit tight on each other there, but Tyler Jordan's got the positioning. They give each other plenty of room. In fact, the 29 lets him go right there, lets him go, gets set the tucking line. And for the 3rd time tonight, again, Chris, it's braking sideways is one thing, but when you get that far sideways and then you snap it back up the hill, that is where the problems are coming from.
Yeah, you just overcorrect, Evan, and it has happened quite a bit here tonight. And for that 29 machine, just really nowhere to go. Like he had no idea that was going to happen until it was really too late. And unfortunately for him, the 29 machine of Tyler Jordan is done behind the wall pretty early here tonight. We haven't even hit halfway yet, Evan. So you just got to really, once you get that sideways, it's just better just not overcorrect it. You just got to lock it down and save your car. And it goes back to what we were just talking about, keeping the car under it and keeping the car clean so you can get to the end of the race.
Another yellow, though. It's funny, when we were about 20 laps into this race, Gary, talking about the possibility of this race going to that lap 147 competition caution, where drivers are going to be coming down pit road, and what we expect to be the service and the pit strategy that determines how this race is going to play out. And since then, we've had about 3-4 different yellows all in a row here to significantly slow down the pace of the race.
Yeah, a huge amount of yellows. As you can see, the 69 of Cucker, I believe, of Matt Cucker, he's probably warming up his brakes just to make sure he can stay beside Peterson coming to this restart as they head into turns 3 and 4. Peterson's going to get the restart. I believe he's going to start before that start line right there. He's going to wait to it. He's down on the loud pedal. Peterson's down and away. Side by side they go into turn 1.
Like back off at the 69 up top. That's Cucker. He's got nowhere to come down in line. Todd Guerin comes up the inside. That's the black number 18 car. Take over the number 2 position, though I think Cucker's going to be able to get a good run off of 4 here and get on the 18. Gets tight. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, exactly what happens. Getting tight, and now you're going to look to see Matt Cucker try to rebound, get to back bumper of Christian Peterson. Not going to quite get there just yet. Got a lot of work to do. Maybe just riding Todd Guerin, though. Look at him trying to get to the back bumper. You're riding on board with the 19 of Jeremy Adams just behind them. So we'll have to see if Todd Guerin's going to want to try to get that second place position back and maybe go fight for Christian Peterson, because you can see him getting the runs on Matt Cucker out of the corner, but just not really doing anything with him right now.
Just taking a look, thought there was a battle about 10th, but as you see, everybody single filing it out again off of the green flag. And maybe you have to wonder, if you get your race car beat up a couple of times, do you get the memo that make it a little bit easier at some point? To get overwhelmingly, though, still great racing. I am surprised to an extent, Gary, that those very loose conditions that we saw in those Tour Modifieds were also seen in these late model stocks. And the Tour Modifieds, you can say we've only saw them twice all year. Not that huge of a deal, and obviously with less track time in any sort of a car, less experience you have in them, and any sort of handling conditions going to be a little bit more difficult to diagnose. We've seen these late model stocks 19 times. I do think the one difference might be typically when we see them, we're at nighttime, we're at the end of the evening, they're racing under the lights, or even if they have a double feature, maybe it's always those evening, late afternoon conditions. We're in the middle of the daytime here in the service, so maybe a little bit more hot and slick out there that's playing some havoc.
Yeah, it could also be warming up those tires a lot more than nighttime as well. So with the cars getting more and more tight, that could be the right front slowly starting to wear out. So it's going to be a lifesaver for these drivers once they make it to lap 147 to replace those tires and try and figure out what they can do on those fresh tires once we get what I believe will be that 50 lap to go mark, as you speculated earlier, because, well, 50 laps to go for that restart after the competition caution. It's going to be amazing as we have a battle for the 9th, 8th place position, actually, between the 7 and the 05. Carl Leverall stuck on the outside, a little bit damaged from getting involved in that incident earlier. And on the bottom, it's going to be the 05 of Scott Austin. Coming out of turn number 4, it's going to be Leverall with the advantage coming on across the start-finish line.
And the 7 Leverall on the outside might actually be able to leapfrog the 2 of Michael Powell and get himself into an even better position, as now we go almost 3 wide back here in the middle of the pack. The 7-inch trying to get up on the 2 of Powell, not able to do it yet. Well, tuck in line, and the side-by-side battle retreats between the 4 and the 05 machine behind them. So 2 sets of 2x2 now mid-pack.
Mid-pack, just like you mentioned. Look at the 4 of Wooten. Heavy move down there to cut by onto the nose of the 05 machine and go to the inside of the 7 of Kyle Leverall. That was a very, very aggressive move. Now the 2 and the 7 will go side by side, 3 wide. Coming out of turn 2, that 4 of Wooten really trying to be aggressive and get those positions.
Doing exactly what he feels like he's got to do. Andrew Wooten, first time tonight, he's broken into the top 10. Still in this line now is he'll make a swinging move to the outside. Oh, the 05 is really sideways. Scott Austin all the way to the inside. He'll get up against the inside wall, and another spinner behind him. The 16 of Paul Henley looped it. No yellow for either. They'll clear the scene before the race leaders come by, and we are still green.
amazing save and amazing catch. They somehow didn't make it worse, and they didn't overcorrect. There's a thing, that's the thing as well. They didn't try to correct it. They just let it slide down to the inside. That's a smart move, but of course, no doubt not with a lot of fighting the wheel to keep it down there as well. So back up to your leaders right now. We can see the top four is pretty much under a blanket. We have Peterson, Cucker, Guerin, and Jeremy Adams coming from, well, pretty much out of nowhere. I believe Adams has finally found that speed in his car.
Adams, it took him a little bit to get back up to this point. Remember earlier on in this race was leading, made a self-inflicted error, spun out on the back straightaway, caused the yellow, went all the way to the back. I said it'd probably be very difficult for him to be able to get back up front. He's almost back to where he started, which was third, as he rides in fourth position at the moment, side by side. Now you see the 30 entry of Will Dravicki going up the inside around the Wilkinson. This is about 2 seconds behind your race leaders at a battle for fifth.
Yeah, battle for fifth place. You can see just how high that 26 of Brandon Wilkinson is to Will Dravicki. Will Dravicki is going to clear Brandon Wilkinson. We're not going to really see Wilkinson provide too much threat out of the back of Dravicki as the 30 just kind of drives away just a little bit. Meanwhile, back up front, riding on board with the 23 of Christian Peterson. You can see out back just how easy he's running right now, how much of a run he's getting as he gets a little bit squirrely going into the corner there, Evan, as now Matt Cucker is going to be able to capitalize on that, close the gap up just a little bit, even a little bit squirrely going off of the corner. That car is all out of shape going down into one and off the corners. He's really got to work to get it up, and you can really tell that Matt Cucker's taking advantage of it all over the back bumper of the 23 as they go off into 3.
Continue to keep the pressure up. That's what we saw. All of the drivers, in fact, up front in this race who were battling up front in that tour modified race used to get to the front. They didn't throw an aggressive dive to the inside. They waited for a mistake, and maybe that was it by Peterson. He got really sideways coming out of turn number 2, and the inside lane is wide open for Matt Cucker in the 69 car. He'll slide up in front, and just like that, new race leader as Matt Cucker returns to the race lead.
Peterson left that inside lane open. He could have slid down right behind Cucker, but that didn't happen, and then that's going to lead Todd Guerin to the inside as well. So it looks like Peterson at this rate will be falling back to that 4th place position. So, oh yeah, it's going to be followed by Jeremy Adams right here, unless Peterson can somehow get in front of Jeremy Adams. Well, that's not the case right now, as Peterson is still stuck on that outside lane. So unfortunately, Peterson going to be, no, he's actually got to clear Adams coming out of turn number 2. Adams still looking down to the inside lane, but a move for the lead. Todd Guerin looking to the inside of Matt Cucker. Half a car into advantage, barely at the line was Todd Guerin for that lap led, I believe, actually. No, it was actually Matt Cucker that led that lap by 0.003 of a second. But now Todd Guerin is definitely in the lead, and he will be leading this pack now as 4-car train. That's still battling right now, as I believe Pearson got a little bit loose coming out of turn 4, but they still kept it under control.
You see the 69 at Cucker move up the racetrack, and Jeremy Adams is quickly making a move, and he goes into the number 2 position. So mistakes by Cucker and Peterson move them from 1 and 2 to 3rd and 4th position. Todd Guerin now leads this race in front of Jeremy Adams, who has had a very impressive charge back up to the front of the field in this one. And at times in such a long race, Chris, that even with all the yellows and stoppages we've seen, as somebody's got a lot of smoke. The 50 with a Mason Dunn limping to pit road. It looks like he lost the engine, and his night is going to be done. No yellow, and we will stay green for the 51 machine, though, who got into the outside wall on his own, and that's where you saw all of that black smoke. But even with all the yellows we've seen, it can very quickly at sometimes feel stale if you have everybody taking it easy. I'm very impressed with how tight these top 4 are, all within 0.7 of a second of each other this long into a run.
Yeah, they're all really tight, and they've been this way since the drop of the green flag to start this 200-lap feature, Evan. They've been all together right now. Todd Guerin doing a great job at holding off the 19 of Jeremy Adams up there up front. You're riding on board with Matt Cucker, who is just behind these 2 that are really, really close together. They're all really close together, like you mentioned. The top 4 really have just been in a league all of their own here tonight, as we're getting ready to come up on that halfway point, just cross lap 96 to 97. So even with all those yellows and everything to happen, it's still going by really, really fast.
Only moments away from the halfway point. Once we get there, we'll, of course, take a look at your iRacing midway race break. But again, one thing to keep in mind is as we close in on 100 down and 100 to go, that caution flag that is guaranteed to come out, unless we hear otherwise, at lap 147 in this race. Basically, right at the three-quarter distance marker.
Yeah, and you saw from that onboard shot, that rear view camera shot from Todd Guerin, that Jeremy Adams, I saw Jeremy Adams get onto that rumble strip just a little bit too much, and that cost him a little bit of momentum as well. But now these guys are pretty much evenly separated right now, about, well, pretty much a tenth or less than that will separate all of them, or at least the top two. About 2/10 separates them right now. But Christian Pearson is still hanging on to that back half of this well, what is now a three-car transfer. Adams gets really loose coming out turn number 2, but he still manages to keep it under control and keep it off the outside wall, as we are now 100 laps down and 100 laps to go.
And as we've crossed the halfway point in tonight's race, let's take a look at our iRacing midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks from all around the globe. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is your one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series for the likes of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Global Rallycross, and so many more. As we take a look up front, that's the 18 machine. Todd Guerin is your race leader at lap number 102. Jeremy Adams recently moved into the number 2 position, sits there with Matt Kucker 3rd and Christian Peterson 4th, but you might as well throw a blanket over all of them, only separated, as you can see, by barely 1 second. I think all of those cars have a shot at still trying to win this race. Andrew Wooten sits in the number 5 spot as they run now. He's one of your bigger movers inside of the top 10. Will Trevicki's in the number 6 position. Brandon Wilkinson runs in 7th. James Milbachler is 8th. Kyle Everalt is the biggest mover, plus 11 and 9th. And Matthew Murphy rounds out your top 10.
John McNaca is going to be 11th in that 92 machine. Michael Powell is going to be 12th. 13th, Eric Forbes. Tyler Jordan going to be 14th. 15th, Mason Dunn. Scott Austin going to be 16th. Paul Henley, 17th. Michael Heel is going to be 18th. Jeff Ward, 19th. 20th, Reese Nobles, 21st. Michael Goodard and Rory Blum rounds out your 22 car field.
A look at your iRacing midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. And thanks to our friends at Red Bull Global Rallycross, you can now visit iRacing.com/membership and use the promo code PR-GRC for an opportunity to start your career on iRacing with a 3-month membership for only $5. Again, that's promo code PR-GRC, and it is valid on new iRacing memberships only at iRacing.com/membership. So as we begin to count down towards the end of this Myrtle Beach 400, we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside and keep it LSRTV nonstop so you don't miss a moment of the action. It's Todd Guerin out in front as he's now led 28 laps in a late model stock feature. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series on your home for sim racing and iRacing Live. Back live at the Myrtle Beach Speedway. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Myrtle Beach 400, week 21 of 21 on this 2017-18 Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association Late Model Stock Main Event. Now past the halfway point as we work lap 116 of 200. In the final race of the season. As always, coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series Late Model Stocks is brought to you by our friends over at Blue Ridge Napa of Fort Chiswell, Virginia. Napa is your trusted source for automotive parts, accessories, and know-how for your car, truck, or SUV. You can shop online for original OEM and replacement parts today at www.napaonline.com. No changes as we step aside, at least in the category of the race leader, but a couple of shuffling things up, if you will. Matt Cucker is now back up into the number 2 position behind Todd Guerin, who still leads this race. As you watch your top few cars come off at turn number 4, Jeremy Adams 3rd, but Andrew Wooten has worked his way into 4th position. That's because Christian Peterson gave the wall a pretty good slap coming out of turn number 2 a couple of laps ago, and he fell to 5th while we were away.
Yeah, not a very good. He's been fighting that car for the last few laps here, Evan. He was even fighting it down the back straightaway before they even got into turn 3. He's been having a tough time with those tires, so that competition caution at 147 to where they can pit, get fresh tires, and maybe just a fresh restart to this race will really do that 23 machine some good, because he is fighting it really, really hard right now. Wooten, talk about him moving up 10 positions, started 14th all the way up to 4th. He's been doing good. We've seen him make some aggressive moves, as you're seeing on screen right now. Christian Peterson still fight it, so maybe even lose some more positions to Brandon Wilkinson, but props to that Andrew Wooten in that 4 machine for doing such a good job.
Only these guys might be able to tighten up front, because the battle for the race lead on to go into Matt Cucker on the inside of Todd Guerin. He was leading this race not all that long ago, and in fact Matt Cucker has the most laps led tonight with 50, and he is trying to get back in front of the 18 Guerin. Now I think has better positioning on the inside of the racetrack. The 18 machine almost matched Cucker's lap lead number. He got up to 41 laps, but for the second time in a row, the 69 is the first one to the line.
Yeah, I don't think Matt Cucker wants Todd Guerin to match or let alone break his lead lap streak that he has right now, or at least the amount of numbers that he has. So Todd Guerin now will be falling in behind Matt Cucker, as Jeremy Adams is just riding around in the back watching this happen in front of him. So most likely playing a little bit of a strategic role of saying, okay, maybe after the competition caution I can push up for the lead, because he is in 3rd right now, but he's not really caught up with these guys. He's just waiting a little bit farther back, but I'm going to check their lap times this time around, actually, as Cucker leads his, well, I believe this is 53rd lap as of right now. So Jeremy Adams' last lap time was a 20.142, while Matt Cucker was a 19.9 versus Todd Guerin's 20.0. So right now Jeremy Adams is definitely most likely wanting to get to that competition caution as quick as possible.
The only driver still getting lap times sub that 20-second mark was Matt Cucker, although the last time by a 20.1, so that really goes to show you how much these tires have fallen off, considering the fact that Matt Cucker's best lap on fresh tires was a 19.3. So we're talking about almost a second slower per lap, just because these tires have begun to be worn away at.
Yeah, these tires are probably screaming right now, Evan, just because of how much they've been put through, you know, on lap. Ooh, I had a brain fart there. On lap 127, coming to 128 as they cross the line. Just watching the battle for the lead right now between Matt Cucker and Todd Guerin, who are really the class of the field. They've showed their endurance, and they showed that they could really work this car, save these tires, because it wasn't too long ago, Evan, just before that halfway point where we were talking throwing a blanket over the top 4, but how quickly 29 laps can change things, because Todd Guerin and Matt Cucker are still pretty close together, but for your top 4, it's all it has all been shaken up, and they're all over the place.
Down to 10 cars as well on the lead lap, which is something else that is a significant number considering how many we started with. There are significant drivers who have dropped out of this race. 15th on the back have all retired, so 14 cars still actively on the racetrack, 10 of which are on the lead lap. Not all that far onto the horizon. are 2 more cars, that actually 3, in fact. And I don't know if your race leader, Matt Kunker, is going to get there before we get to our caution in 17 laps from now, but Milbacher, Leveralt, and Murphy not all that far away from getting lapped, and that's why you see them battling hard with each other. Nobody wants to be the first car to get caught by the leaders.
Yeah, these guys, as damaged as they are, well, at least for Millenbacher and Leverall, those two are battling out as quick as possible. Murphy is just riding around, it looks like. He does have a little bit of right front damage, it appears, but right now Leverall's going to be sideways coming out of turn number 2. He's going to keep it under control. So an easy pass for Millenbacher coming out of turn number 2, as well as Leverall almost spun it coming out of that corner. So they're going to keep it under control, but looks like at this rate, Matthew Murphy is going to be the first one that's going to be put another lap down.
Yeah, just another lap down here. As we're looking on the screen now, you got the 7 Kyle Leveralt, and it's kind of the closest group. You can see the number 1, James Milbacher, fighting his car just a little bit, as you guys were talking about, trying to get everything under control. Meanwhile, just behind him, you're going to be riding on with Matthew Murphy. Just about to talk about him. He's really lurking in the distance, maybe going to try to get up there and get past Kyle Leveralt. Meanwhile, if we look up front, Matt Kunker really just pulled away. Todd Guerin nowhere to be found. Just all the way back. He's really just pulled away. No pressure out the back, as there's a car stopped in turn 3. Race control just came over, made everybody aware of it. But Matt Kunker really doing a good job at saving his tires of him.
That's the key, is just to conserve them, and obviously a 7/10 of a second advantage is gonna help us. Almost a wreck right there. There goes the 7 overall. He is gonna spin, and there's the caution.
Oh my goodness, that was insanely close. Leverall still hasn't moved yet. As you can see, he's gonna turn it around, I believe. He's gonna work his way around, but goodness, as the replay's coming up on your screen right now, just the tires have gotten so much usage and maybe just gotten a little bit tight. As you can see, oh no, he actually got a little bit of a wiggle, almost took out the 1 in the process. He's going to slide up, and this is where it got dangerous. He almost came up into that racing line. You can see these leaders making their way by around, so that would have been devastating if Leverall hadn't kept that car under control, and thankfully he did. Amazing awareness as well. This is going to be fun. A little bit of an onboard shot from Matt Kunker's car. It's going to be interesting. You can see the 7 spinning out. It's going to come right back up, and oh goodness, just that one moment as a driver where you just hope they don't come crashing right into you.
The first miracle was he not getting into that 1 car on his outside, and obviously I mentioned your race leader for catching those drivers about to lap them, so very close in regards to obviously Matt Kunker, as you rode on board with him, having a car come up in front of him. Would it have been the first time tonight that we had seen an already wrecked car, you know, not somebody still actively spinning, but somebody who wrecked and was sitting in the middle of the racetrack, get tagged, or I guess depending on where you want to place the blame, get in the way of somebody else trying to get on through. Luckily, that's not the case, and all we really end up with is a single car spinning out in turn 2. But again, anytime you snap that car back up the hill, and we've seen it so many times tonight, as opposed to just, you know, locking that car down, I guess, and back up, never a comfortable position to be in, and I think we're fortunate that that wreck was not any bigger than it actually was. Just like that, though, the mess is cleaned up, but we're going to go back to green flag racing. 139 laps down, 61 to go.
Yeah, going to be on the outside. Going to be interesting to see how much these tires have worn up, having all these drivers still close back together.
Going to come back out. Matt Kunker on the inside. Good jump, and he'll lead us back down to turn number 1. Guerin going to end up second. A fight is going to be on for 3rd. The 19 of Adams on the inside. That's Andrew Wooten up top on the right-hand side of your screen in the 4 car, trying to get into the picture and to fight for 3rd. But a 19 is going to win it on the inside, and Wooten goes for the crossover, taps him, and a bump and run at turn number 4. Going to reignite the fight for 3rd.
Andrew Wooten finally found his grip, and a little bit of side contact there, a little bit of, well, the IC Robbins Racing, and, well, Christian Pearson just got into the wall coming out of turn number 2. That's going to make his advantage even worse. He did As Evan said, he did hit the wall earlier. Well, now he just completely destroyed that right side. As Andrew Wooten makes his way to third in that number 4 car. And well, look at Brendan Wilkinson. He's all over this back bumper of the 19 of Jeremy Adams, and we're just about to close in on that lap 147 competition caution.
Obviously, that's the only yellow that these drivers have been guaranteed. So a lot of them just trying to get their tires to that point. They've been saying that to themselves all night long up until this point. And on the cusp of it, I wouldn't be surprised if you really make an aggressive move now because you want to be the first car in, first car out, and obviously lead this race. And we go back green in those final 50 laps of the fresh tires. So I would keep it half eye on Cucker 1, Guerin 2 for the 18 to make a very bold move here.
Yeah, you definitely want to be the car on pit road because we know how important track position is, and for a 50-lap shootout, something we're more used to here in the late model division, you're definitely going to want that lane change, especially with how many mind games Matt Cucker has been playing, because I think he's changed the lane up just about every time they've restarted here, Evan. He's been really good at changing the lanes up, keeping everybody on their toes, and even probably keeping himself on his toes because he's been able to control this lead for a while. But looking at that 18, going to get the run a little bit off the corner. Not going to make a move just yet.
Issues with the 30 car here as well. Real Dravicki, who's running into the right position, got loose and he's put it out on his own on the front straightaway. Ended up going through the victory lane area on the front stretch. No caution. We stay green. No, normally a single car accident's not a yellow, especially if it's down and off of the racing surface. So we're going to be unaffected for your race leaders as they work on lap 147. And there is our competition yellow.
So a little bit of a save for that number 30 of Will Dravicki. I believe he has not fallen one down yet. No, he's not. He's the last car in the lead lap. And, well, something else that's going to be even more interesting as well. Not only do we get a competition caution and a pit stop, I believe, as well, but we will also be getting a field invert as well. So this is going to play a huge factor into what's going to be going on.
It's really going to swap things up. And one other thing, and I guess if there's a saving grace, good news, that we know that the CEA guys are never strangers to, obviously, you know, the invert, I guess is the word I'm trying to find, is because whenever we have double features, second race, starting grid is always an invert. So what's going to happen is everybody's going to come down pit road. You've got a minute to do whatever you want to do to your car. It's plenty enough time to get tires on board. For the drivers who have some damage, going to give them an opportunity to get some damage fixed. Then I presume we'll come at a pit road and we will invert the field. The good news for the race leaders is not that, Chris, we have an invert. That's not very good news. But the fact that because we have significantly less cars on track now than we did at lap 1, they're not going to be as far back. So I guess there's something in there that's positive to look at.
Yeah, they're not going to have to go all the way back through the field as it per se with their 22 cars on the lead lap with how we started. So they're not going to be too far off. Going to have to get the invert here. So Matt Cucker not really aware that he's going to be in the back of the field here shortly, thinking that he can come off here and get something out. So 1 minute, definitely enough time, even for the new NASCAR pit rule in real life. So that shouldn't take them too long to get their tires and back out on the track.
Obviously, you're not going to see anybody aggressively funnied with whether they're on pit road because they all have that allotted 1 minute, I guess, time down pit road to get all of their service completed, and then we will see everybody else roll. That's when the invert will take place. In theory, Gary, this is exactly like a race that we would see earlier in the year. We're going to go back green with 50 laps to go or so in this race, and when we have an invert, and that magic number is going to be 6. So the top 6 will invert. So Cucker's going to be P6. The theory is the slower car is in the front. The faster cars are towards the back. So it should be a very competitive race. And this is, again, a situation that these drivers deal with anytime we have a double feature.
Yeah, it's also going to be very, very interesting to see how these guys make their way back up through the field as Matthew Murphy is going to make his way out onto the track. As of right now, right behind him, it's going to be Brandon Wilkinson, like you mentioned. So it's going to be, like you said, a lot more competitive, and it's going to be a lot more interesting as well to see what moves these drivers take to see what they can and can't do, or what they will do, or what they won't do. But We've seen Andrew Wooten push it 3 wide almost twice. One time he did manage to barely make it 3 wide, just not full side by side, if you will.
Race control continues to read off the names of the order in which these drivers will come back out onto the racetrack with. You can see they will be lining up at the back straightaway in their revised order. Like the 8 of Matthew Murphy, then Wilkinson, Adams, Wooten, Guerin, and Cucker are going to be the top 6 in a row off of the pit lane there on the back straightaway. And then from 7th on the back, so outside of the invert, and that invert, the number 6 was determined by a random dice roll. That's how it is every single week. Again, when we have a double feature, is the finishing order from the first race inverted by X amount of positions dictates the starting order for the second race. So 7th on the back, no worries. You're going to be exactly where you were. This does give a couple of drivers opportunities to obviously get some damage fixed and know that Kyle Everalt, the lucky dog, gets back to the lead lap in 11th position. Now the question is, if you just got gifted a couple of spots, got 50 laps to go in this race, can you do anything with it?
And I think you can, especially for a driver like Brandon Wilkinson, who we've seen do really well in this track, at this track in these cars. Maybe struggle a little bit here during this race, but Jeremy Adams, Brandon Wilkinson, all these drivers we've seen had success, going to be up at the front now.
It's set to get this race back at the green flag racing conditions. 50 laps to go in the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series season. The late model stocks back underway. 3/4 distance with just 50 laps to go.
Matthew Murphy going to be battling the outside Brandon Wilkinson, and I believe a little bit of contact. Andrew Wooten, as damaged as he is, he's still going to be powering out to the outside, but I believe Matthew Murphy is actually falling a little bit of a disadvantage. He's not riding too well on that inside line. He's been falling back so far in turns 1 and 2, and unfortunately everyone behind him has been feeling that wrath of that. And look at Matt Cucker. He's already on the outside. He's almost in 3rd within 2 laps, and breaking early is going to be Matthew Murphy. And Christian Pearson in the back, but he's going to be making his way around on the outside, or at least looking to, as quick as possible, get back up to the front.
Tucker, the first driver I see really making big moves, getting his money's worth on the outside, is already up to 3rd. Guerin outside is a little bit further back. He's up top on Adams, who's not going to be as easy as a car to get in front of. And I think that, you know, Cucker put himself in a very good position here, but there's nothing saying that Andrew Wooten in 2nd, and especially Brandon Wilkinson, who is leading this race, cannot put up a fight. Wilkinson, 2 late model stocks on the year already.
Yeah, he's put up a really good fight. He's really got the lead right now, and he's doing good. Andrew Wooten, though, is 2nd place, 14th to 2nd. He hadn't been gifted by, but look at Matt Cucker back there in 3rd. Was in the 6th invert, already up to 3rd, working that back end of the 4 of Wooten, trying to get by him, but not really going to push the issue too long, because even though we're inside 50 laps to go, Evan's still a long race to go. And if anybody knows how to make 50 laps mean everything, it's Matt Cucker, because now you'll see him work the inside line, maybe try to get a 2 for 1, but Brandon Wilkinson going to be wise and kind of shade the inside contact between the 69 and the 4. Gonna send the 4 around, maybe still got it under control, but that's heavy left front damage for that 4 of Andrew Wooten.
He already had a lot of damage, so a little bit more doesn't help him out, and I'm not sure you can place a lot of blame on Matt Cucker there. Sure, he wasn't giving him a ton of space, and a tip of the cap, fantastic driving with the 4 of Andrew Wooten to just stay in this race, but he does fall to P6 in the grand scheme of things, which means Matt Cucker gets a spot, moves up to P2. If we take a second look at this exchange, you'll see the 69 car go to the inside, and he's not going to give the 4 tons of room up top, but I think there was still space for that car to be there. Right there, I think the 4 got a little bit sideways, didn't help himself out much, and almost hooked Cucker around. The 4 hung on to it. Very good evasive driving by the 19 of Adams to not get into him, and this race is still green with Matt Cucker 2 car lengths off for the race lead.
Oh my goodness, that stressed me out. I was just sitting up here in the booth, but goodness, Jeremy Adams had a great view of that. Well, I mean, if he determined a good view, just barely avoiding that wreck, but now he's got a good view of this battle in front of him as well. At least what seemed to be a battle, as well as Wilkinson is going to be trying to hold off Matt Cucker, who's looking to the inside right now. 40 laps to go this time by once we hit the start-finish line. And Matt Cucker has finally closed the gap to Wilkinson. Looking to the inside is Wilkinson, that 69, the number 26 of 26 of Wilkinson going to be trying to hold off the 69 of Cucker. Well, that's not going to happen now. It's the advantage Cucker and hang into turn number 3.
Cucker on the inside, and a caution flag is going to come out at lap 161. Problems in turn 2 for the 2 of Michael Powell. I don't know who's going to be scored in front as your race leader. We'll wait for race control to give us a word. They were side by side. We'll take a look at this fight. A lot of drivers not all that assisted by those fresh tires. As we watch the replay with the 2 machine, he had a little bit of help on that one with the 92 car, kind of half committing to the inside, not really fully going, and 92 at McNaka gave him a pretty good shot going into the corner. Nothing the 2 could do, but to his credit, Chris locked it down as opposed to bringing it back up the hill as we all go on board with the 92. And you'll see right there, he's not all the way down, he's not all the way in line, really indecisive on that one.
Yeah, really indecisive, and that's really what got the 2 of Michael Powell. But like you said, something we haven't seen a lot of tonight is the 2 actually locked it down, kept it as clean as he possibly could. But it looks like Brandon Wilkinson will be scored your leader. I thought personally that Matt Cucker had it coming out of 4, but race control thought better. Wilkinson will be your leader coming down to it.
On to go next time by as this race gets set to go back in a green flag racing condition. Wilkinson is going to be scored as your race leader, so the 26 will still be in control of the field. Chris, Matt Cucker is going to be in the number 2 spot. That's big, because I think if we stayed green, Cucker would have got it.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate for Cucker as well, because, well, he was right there. So unfortunately, on the bright side for him, at least he does get a chance to get that lead once again.
Yeah, he's going to get that lead. He's going to get that chance to restart on the inside line. He's going to keep that inside. Let's see what Matt Cucker will have in store with that outside line. So as we get ready to go green, going to come out of 4, wait for that white line to hit, and Brandon Wilkinson will lead them down. Green flag. Good start by Cucker and Peterson, though, as they're working that outside line. Big gap between the 26 and the 19 of Jeremy Adams. So look at Cucker still side by side through 1 and 2. Is almost contacted to go off into 3.
Side by side they run, and well, behind them as well, a little bit of contact on the outside. The number 4 Andrew Wooten is going to go around. He's going to keep it under control again. A little bit of someone else got a piece of that as well. It's a 30 of Will Javicki as they're 3 wide and turns 1 and 2 back to 2 wide right now, as the battle for the lead is still going on right now. Matt Cucker on the high side, Wilkinson trying to hang out on the inside, and look at Christian Peterson. He started 7th just before that invert, that top 6 invert as well.
Yeah, side by side for your race lead. Is Cucker going to edge Wilkinson out? Wilkinson going to get a little bit loose on the inside line. That's going to give Cucker all the room he needs to clear and take that top spot. Meanwhile, Christian Peterson has a nose on that 26 machine on the outside line. They're really making that outside line work within these final few laps, trying to get everything they can. Peterson going to get a little bit loose, though, at a 2. Going to have Wilkinson slide right back up and take that 2nd spot.
Pearson did hit the wall coming out of turn 2 1 lap ago from that onboard shot as well, and you're still riding on board with him as well. But Jeremy Adams looking to the inside of Christian Peterson for that 3rd place position. Adams trying to get some kind of an advantage, and hopefully he can. And well, he's just going to be right beside Todd Guerin as well, as Guerin's going to make his way pretty much right behind Christian Peterson. And well, unfortunately for Brendan Wilkinson, Matt Cucker is pulling away right now, but for that 3rd place is Jeremy Adams. He's still trying to get to that inside line. A little bit of contact, it looks like, but nonetheless a little bit loose actually. Turn number 2 is Pearson. Pearson trying to hang on as best as he can.
Yeah, Peterson's really had a struggle trying to fight his car all day. Now he's going to battle the 19 on the inside, who's got the nose. Going to have a little bit more of a nose now, going off into 1 and 2, as he's now going to be side by side. Peterson going to be able to keep the outside line and keep clear of the 19 machine, but not done yet. Jeremy Adams back down to the inside line. Todd Guerin, basically a passenger in this battle, can't really go anywhere. He could shoot the middle, but you don't really want to try to force 3 wide here at this track. We've seen it not really work out too well in weeks past. So right now, just hanging behind these 2 as they're still side by side off into 3.
Not anymore, as Todd Guerin takes advantage of Jeremy Adams' line and Christian Peterson's disadvantage. And the caution is out once again. Spinner in 4. That is a 30 of Will Javicki. Replay will be coming up. It looks like he got loose in turn 4 and made contact with the 8. So, or actually the 8 made contact with him. That would be Matthew Murphy in the 8. Replay up on your screen right now. You can see actually loose out turn number 2 was Dravicki. We're going to see Dravicki just gets loose right here, and Matthew Murphy unfortunately was right there, and well, he just had nowhere to go, and Murphy just didn't know what to do. And unfortunate passengers, the 2 and the 7 also get a piece of that. 2 laps to green right now. That's Michael Powell and Kyle Everalt. They got a piece of that.
Yeah, very unfortunate for the 30 of Will Dravicki and the 8 of Matthew Murphy. Matthew Murphy really just didn't have any time to really check up there and get anything to slow down, so really just helped that 30 car around. Will Dravicki has had the best of nights, started second and has fallen all the way back to 11th now, and now has some pretty heavy damage, so very unfortunate for that 30 machine. Meanwhile, back up front, we got the 69 of Matt Cucker, the 26 of Brandon Wilkinson, and Jeremy Adams. Your top 3, 1 to go at the line. We'll have to see what the mystery line that Matt Cucker will take, and it's going to be the inside. So he's going to give the 26, Brandon Wilkinson, that outside lane.
Slowly coming down to the 25 lap to go mark, and well, almost ironically Wilkinson is in number 26 starting on the outside, but we're at 26 laps to go, and look at behind him look at behind Adams as Peterson is going to be starting behind him. So restart's going to be Cucker, Wilkinson, row 1, Adams and Peterson, row number 2, Wooten and Todd Guerin make up row number 3. Coming out turn number 4, it's going to be Matt Cucker in control of the field, going before the white line, and well, Wilkinson's actually going to stay with him as they head off into turn number 1.
Yeah, Wilkinson able to stay off and stay on the outside, but not for long, as now he's going to have to fight the number 19 of Jeremy Adams. Adams going to keep the nose there as they go off into 3. Side by side, Matt Cucker this is exactly what Matt Cucker wants to see. Andrew Wooten back there gets a little bit out of shape trying to hide behind the 23 and the 18 who are side by side. So 2 pairs of side by side as Matt Cucker's really just walking away from the field, because Todd Guerin and Christian Peterson doing battle side by side, as well as Jeremy Adams and Brandon Wilkinson.
There's practically no pressure for Matt Cucker, as these drivers are too busy fighting each other to actually catch up to what position really matters for them. But Jeremy Adams, though, just before the caution, before this last restart, he was making his way to that 3rd place position. Well, now he's going to be looking to the inside of that 2nd place position, as looks like the number 18 of Todd Guerin will clear Peterson for that 4th place spot. Still side by side, fighting back on the outside as Wilkinson, and on the inside is Adams in that number 19.
Yeah, Adams is going to try to flirt with those rumble strips. We saw him flirt with it in the Tour Modified and not really work out for him, but these cars just a little bit different. You're riding on board with that Ford of Andrew Wooten, and you can see he has a little bit of front end damage there on the right side from just contact with other cars. But Wilkinson, Adams still doing side by side. Nobody can really get around them, as Matt Cucker's just walking away, almost up over a second now. His lead to the driver in 2nd and 3rd. Still can't get it sorted out. Brandon Wilkinson almost lost the position to Adams, but keeps the nose there to keep the battle go on.
Unfortunately, though, for Adams, unfortunately for Wilkinson, as Adams actually is going to get into the rumble strip. He did. Oh my goodness, he flirted with it too much again. It didn't work out in the Tour Modified, like you said, Chris, and all over the back bumper behind them is Wooten against Todd Guerin, and Peterson looking to the inside of Wooten. Action completely spicing up as we're only at 19 laps to go, near contact, and well, like you mentioned, it was unfortunate for Adams and Tour Modified, and the same thing almost happened to him again just now. He was so close to clearing Wilkinson for that 2nd place position, but now he's got to fight off Wilkinson again and stay away from those rumble strips.
Yeah, he was almost clear of that 26 machine, and I think he's going to get it just this time by. You can see him not really tempting those rumble strips anymore. He's going to clear Wilkinson barely, and that's going to leave that 18 machine, Todd Guerin, to use that inside line to his advantage. Wilkinson tracked on the outside. Nothing more he can really do but just wait and wait to try to find a lane to get down on the inside line, because the outside line is not where you want to be right now. Guerin trying to do his best. Contact made on the back straightaway. Luckily, nothing more came out of that. Trying to get every position they can. We're really fastly approaching that 10 lap to go mark. 16 laps to go this time by.
Lots are slowly and quickly winding down right now. It's Wilkinson stuck on the outside, but still completely walking away with this lead right now. It's a 69 of Matt Cucker. He had 9 wins prior in this, and well, I thought he wouldn't be able to get his 10th win, at least early in the race, and it sure seemed like it. But right now, he is 1.2 seconds ahead of everybody else right now, plus more if you're not counting second place. In contact behind them, Andrew Wooten sideways, and he still saves it. No, into the wall he goes, but that wall actually saves him, and somehow Andrew Wooten still keeps that car straight, especially after all that he's been through. 14 laps to go this time by. Again, as he mentioned, just slowly catching, or just quickly catching up to that 10 lap to go point.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting how much Andrew Wooten has put that car through and still been able to keep that car straight. It really did separate your top 2 though, so it's going to be the 19 of Jeremy Adams all by himself with Todd Guerin trying to catch him down right now. Your top 3, Matt Cucker, Jeremy Adams, Todd Guerin, as they run right now. Matt Cucker, you see him on your screen right now, just doing a lot. Just quickly, just doing a lot of saving tires and just running these laps down. He doesn't really have any pressure to worry about. All he has to worry about is these lap cars that he's catching at this moment in time to make sure he gets around them quickly and cleanly and doesn't allow Jeremy Adams to make up a 1.4 second gap. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, as we have 11 laps to go.
Matt Cucker so far can just simply relax right now, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case for him, as he still has to get by the number 2, Michael Powell. So, of course, he still has a little bit of pressure, but definitely doesn't seem like it if you count a little bit of pressure as well. Pretty much about a 1.3 or 1.4 second gap, and pretty much gaining, if you will, because their last lap times, well, Matt Cucker was about 5/10ths faster, sorry, 500ths faster than Jeremy Adams the last time around at the start-finish line. 9 laps to go this time by, and Matt Cucker is walking away with this lead.
Yeah, walking away. I don't think he's going to have any trouble between anybody in the back. Jeremy Adams has a valiant effort. He knocked away 2/10ths that last time by. It's now to a 1.2 second gap, but I'm going to assume that's to that lap traffic, which Jeremy Adams has just caught right now. The 2 of Michael Powell going to move up and out of the way of that 19 machine. I just don't think there's enough time to make up that many laps. We're inside that 10 lap to go mark. Matt Cucker might have just walked away and sealed the deal on this one.
105 laps left. That was the last time in the triple-digit number for Matt Cucker, as it now increases to 106 laps left this time around. 200 laps, and it could all be coming down to this for Matt Cucker. Of course, calling it a little bit too early, definitely, as we're only at 7 laps to go. 6.5, coming down to 6 laps to go once we cross the start-finish line once again for the 195th time, completing lap 194.
Yeah, completing lap 194, and if there's anybody that knows not to count his chickens before they hatch, it's Matt Cucker. He knows he's still going to make it 6 more laps. Going to be 5 laps to go at the line. These laps tick by very quickly, like we've mentioned before, Gary, but Christian Peterson is trying to catch Brandon Wilkinson. The lap cars are in his favor. I don't know if he's going to get there in time, but he's almost going to be there. They're really fighting the clock now. He's got time to get there just a bit. If Brandon Wilkinson makes a mistake, Christian Peterson will be there, but up front, Matt Cucker just walking away.
Yeah, the lead was down to at least 1.1 seconds a couple of laps ago, or at least the last time around. It still is around that point. Last time around, Matt Cucker had 19.786, 19.819 for Jeremy Adams, though. So 1/10 faster, coming down to 3 laps to go is Matt Cucker. And of course, well, just right behind right now, it's going to be Todd Guerin, Brandon Wilkinson, and Christian Peterson, the closest 2 drivers on the track right now for that 4th place position.
Yeah, closest battle. Matt Cucker, or not Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson all over the back bumper of Brandon Wilkinson. He's going to look towards the inside, trying to get everything he can. Going to keep the nose there as they go off into 1 and just try to get past Wilkinson. Will it be enough, though? We're getting 2 laps to go.
And it's quickly approaching down to be 1 lap to go as, well, the battle continues for that 4th place position. But Matt Cucker leading up so far what is now 112 laps. he started all the way, well, he actually started in first, and now he's going to bring it down into turns 3 and 4 for his final time. His 10th win, completing the 200-lap finale here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Matt Cucker wins today's event. Jeremy Adams finishes in second, Todd Guerin third. Brendan Wilkinson has managed to hold off Christian Pearson for both fourth and fifth.
Yeah, and we'll try to get a word here with Matt Cucker in just a little bit, but what a drive to seal the deal at the end, pull away by over 1 second, 1.153 going to be the final margin, but really just a great drive by that 69 machine to pick up his last win. Going to try to get through your full field results as you see them pop up on the screen right now. Matt Cucker going to be your winner, burning it down on the track for the 10th time this season. Jeremy Adams going to be second, third. Todd Guerin, Brandon Wilkinson fourth, Christian Peterson fifth, Andrew Wooten sixth, Will Javicki seventh, James Milbachler 8th, Matthew Murphy 9th, and rounding out your top 10, the 7th of Kyle Everall.
Michael Powell starts off, and well, unfortunately, but fortunately for him, he finishes 2 positions up ahead his starting position, which was 13th, finishing in 11th. 12th place is going to be Eric Forbes. 13th is going to be John McNaughton. 14th and 15th are Tyler Jordan and Mason Dunn, respectively. Finishing in 16th is going to be Scott Austin. 17th, Paul Henley. 18th is going to be Michael Held. Jeff Ward finishes in that 19th position. And Reese Nobles rounds out your top 20. Running out your 22 car field is going to be Michael Goddard and Rory Blum, finishing 21st and 22nd.
And we're going to try to get a word with Matt Cucker if we can. Trying to find him, get him up on the board. There he is, Matt Cucker. Really interesting night all night long, you know, just coming up just a little bit short in the Tour of Mods, but to come back and dominate the last 50 laps of that race with over a second lead over everybody. You know, just talk about the night as a whole.
Yeah, the Tour late model, I mean, Christian's always been better in that than I have. I mean, there's been races where I've been able to beat him, but in general, he's been faster than me, so I didn't expect much. I was just trying to keep him behind me in that that Tour modified. Oh my God, it's been a long day. And so I figured he'd probably win that one, but I figured I'd try to give it my all. And then coming into this 200 laps, it was I knew what I had to do for the first 150 laps, and that was save my tires, and I did that coming to the end. And then those last 50 laps, I don't think I've ever drove as hard as I did for this race ever here. So I mean, we'll take it. It was a fun race.
And you're no stranger to victories here at Myrtle Beach and in these late models, getting, you know, your 10th win of the season and the last race of the season. You know, just such an amazing season throughout the entirety of our first time here at Myrtle Beach. You know, just talk about what it means to get your 10th win.
10 wins with this stout of field. It's you don't see that very often, and I don't know if we'll ever see that in the future either. I mean, 10 wins is a lot, and I would expect if we would do this next year, it will be I don't know. I mean, I can't even think of it. 10 wins is just unbelievable, and to do it with this field here, it's I don't know. I'm speechless. I really am, but I'm glad we could cap off a whole season championship with this 200 laps and a win here at the end.
It was definitely interesting to watch, Matt. Before we let you go from this long night, sponsors shout-outs for the last time here at Myrtle Beach.
Oh, man, it's a sad time. It's the last time. I got to thank Team Vincier, definitely. I thank Globalcom, I Analyze, Austin Designs, Turn 3 Auto Transport. I mean, I got to thank you guys for always putting on a broadcast here, an amazing one. And Kyle Barnes and Myrtle Beach Speedway for always putting the show together.
Definitely a sad time, like you said, to see the season come to an end, but it was awesome to see you race out there, get so many wins, and can't wait to see you back here, I guess, for the Cars Tour coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a ride.
All right, and there you have it, your number one finisher of Matt Cucker in that 69 machine. Matt, thanks so much for taking the time and talking to us for this last race.
Thank you guys for an awesome season.
All right, and that is about going to wrap it up here, Gary. We had an amazing night of racing for the Myrtle Beach 400, as it's called, 125 laps, 200 laps, and all that. It was just an interesting night of racing throughout the entire time.
And it was simply amazing too, with Matt Cucker getting 113 laps led, and well, remember Todd Karen's 41 laps led. Well, unfortunately, that was his last amount. He wasn't able to get any more laps led, unfortunately, but nonetheless, he and Matt Cucker and everyone else put on an amazing show, and CEA also doing an amazing job, especially Kyle Barnes, putting this on and entertaining us in the booth and everybody watching.
And that's exactly it. That's gonna about wrap it up here for us tonight at Myrtle Beach, but that doesn't mean we're done for the week. We have the Super Speedway Cup Series Friday, March 2nd at 9, and then on Saturday we've got the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Trucks Landscaping Truck Series at 10, and the Modifieds at 9. So an action-packed race weekend we got coming up for you. Of course, Cars Tour coming up in a few weeks, so you'll be able to see these familiar faces back on track very soon. But that's going to do it for us tonight here at Myrtle Beach. For Laura Lawson, DJ Lyons, Evan Pasoko, for our broadcast crew tonight, I'm Chris Murdoch, Gary Weaver, and our lovely producer Cisco Scaramuza. That's going to wrap up the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series from Myrtle Beach Simulations. Have a good night.